I'm so glad you're here. So, today is a kind of a big deal day, right? Because today's episode on Marketing and Promotion Part 2 is the final episode of the first season of the Writer Roundtable. So we're really excited, and we've had some wonderful writers join us today. I'm so excited to introduce you. Of course, I feel confident that you actually know these writers, but in case you don't, their information may already be below, or trust me, it will be below. Hopefully by the end of the show, I will get their info added. So without further ado, my lovely co-hosts, it's Zara, yay! And Stephanie has joined us, woohoo! And Megan is here, hello!
Hello!
And the lovely Doll has joined us, woohoo!
Hi!
Yes! And you know him, he's my best friend, and happens to be my brother, it's Tom! Whose webcam does not appear to be working today. You know, the gremlins are real, y'all, and I just want to point out, make sure to save your work. The gremlins obviously are hungry today. I don't know what to tell you.
They're very real.
Yes. So,
I thought you were doing it on purpose.
I was taking him in and out earlier trying to, see if we could figure out what was going on. We were messaging privately on Telegram of, what's going on? And so he has been working on that. So here we are.
You were messing with him, as siblings do.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. During the first break, I probably would have gone over going, "What's going on? Do I need to press the button?" But I didn't have to. It's working. Yay! We get to see Tom's lovely face. To see that lush beard as it continues to grow. The only way to tell the difference between the two of us. So.
Yeah, what you don't hear every day or two, I hear but couldn't you just trim it up a bit? Just shorten it?
It's true.
Your glasses are also different styles.
I mean, you'd be surprised how many people don't seem to notice that, though. I'm just saying.
Unobservant.
Yes,
Yep.
very.
My sister and I look different, and people mix us up all the time. We were going to school,
if you look
drastically
different. I went to camp with two sets of twins, but one set looked more identical than the other, even though they were both identical twins. But once I got to know them, it was very easy to tell them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And people who would still mix them up, I'm like, we've been together for 6 weeks. Come on, people.
Right. Yeah.
It was just weird because my sister has curly. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when Tom didn't have a beard, and he does have contacts, so he doesn't always wear glasses, or at least he used to have contacts. When I would take off my glasses, it was something that people would often remark about since we were kids, of oh my God, you two look so much alike. To the point that people are like, if you two dressed alike, it would be actually kind of hard to tell you apart.
Particularly I see resemblance, but come on, people.
We both look so much like our father.
I think I am the only one who's allowed to confuse people like that. Because
I know. You thought my mother was my sister. Yeah, you definitely are allowed to.
I am allowed to be confused. If Tom didn't have a beard and Glory wouldn't put on the glass. Okay, I am allowed.
Yeah,
to be confused.
you're allowed to be confused, and it's. I mean, there is also voice, so that
right.
Thank God.
You can't be so confused.
And once his voice started dropping, it got better. As people not confusing the two of us. But there were people in middle school who thought Tom and me were the same person, just dressing differently at various times of the day or week.
You just had different personalities,
so funny.
In the movie.
Yeah, and even into college, it was a little rough because since I lived in the Philippines for several years, I purposely kept my voice a bit higher just because it was the tones everyone around me was speaking in.
Respond better to higher voices.
So when I came back, my voice was much higher. And so again, it's like, nope, not much different. Like it took
And to be
years.
perfectly honest, my voice used to be lower until because I have PCOS. So I had I was told I had enough testosterone for 3 pregnant women at once. So I had quite a job, by the way, back then. And so, yes, 20 years of hormone therapy have done wonders. But yeah, back when I was like 20, my voice
I never would have known.
Yes. I'm just saying, hormones are amazing. Highly recommend.
Hormones mess me up naturally, and then when I try to add some to counteract, also mess me up. I've tried.
Yeah, I mean, like, hormone science is still, frankly, in my opinion, in its infancy. So it's one of those of right now it's hit or miss. I got really lucky because there has been quite a bit of research on Ashkenazi Jews with, PCOS. So my doctors could actually look up and like literally the studies would say what they think you should take that were effective in the research. So I was very fortunate.
Versus our friend. I would say it was just versus our friend that we like is simply remembered there's a certain time period of how I can't remember how did we say it, Glory, when we were protecting you from her, keeping you away from her. What was it? Because she was on the bad hormones. It took them forever, like 2.5 years, to figure out it was the birth control.
Oh, she was having psychotic episodes.
Oh no!
No, like actual true
hormones were causing her psychotic episodes. Like it wasn't, what we would consider standard mental illness because it was purely from the wrong hormone therapy, really. Mm-hmm. And so she was in various states of psychosis any given month. It was wild. So, yeah.
When I was on birth control before I got my IUD and I got, one that my doctor was like, this has no hormones, so you should be okay. So I tried the pill. I tried multiple pills, and it gave me such bad migraines that like I couldn't function. So the only hormone that has ever worked for me was growth hormone because when I was in China before I was adopted, I was, malnutritioned and slightly like I've always been small, but I was under where I should be anyway.
Yeah, you were underweight, undernourished.
Well, my bones weren't developed to where they were supposed to be, which was the biggest concern. Yeah. Because I started putting on weight very quickly, like in a healthy way, once I was adopted and eating well and whatever. But my bone structure hadn't caught up. So I don't remember what they're called, but the hormone specialist that my mom took me to was like, just do this. And then if it doesn't work, then we'll see. But it worked. And that's the only time I didn't have a bad reaction to hormones.
Endocrinologist.
Thank you. I haven't seen him in years. So I was like, I no longer needed that information easily.
Right? You were like, float.
Oh, our mom went to one a lot. Our family is like, endocrinologists are like, I'm going to get a new paper out of you.
Right. Oh, literally, like they would say like
multiple times.
Yeah. So like mom and I would both show up of like, hi, we're here as a mother-daughter duo because obviously you need to write about us. And they're like, yes, I've cleared my entire schedule for the rest of the day. Like that sort of level of interesting. But, nevertheless, yes, there have been some papers and a new form of congenital adrenal hyperplasia has been listed because of our mom.
Oh.
Yes, very much. But nevertheless, like, yeah, our endocrinologist.
Did that go in her eulogy?
She had asked me not to mention her medical history at the funeral, and I'm like, if you insist. So I did mention it at the after party for her funeral. We did have an after party. Because you know us.
Don't all funerals have a...
Like there was a wonderful, what do you call it? Sub platter.
Yes, one of those like huge sandwich platters. Yeah, it was really quite lovely.
But I heard you say sub platter and I was thinking sub under what? And then I realized you meant sandwiches.
Yeah, down here they're called subs a lot if they're not called po' boys. But yeah, like she was like, please don't talk about my medical oddities at my funeral. And I'm like, fine. So no, I did not, because I was a good girl. I did not do that at her funeral. I waited till after the funeral was over.
You followed the letter of the law, but still kind of found a loophole.
She knew I was going to do it.
Now, what she didn't count on, but we still wonder if she helped influence, everyone got funneled to the after party.
No one wanted to go, by the way. They all wanted to go home. There were people who drove literally across 6 states to come to her funeral. So they all wanted to head home, understandably.
Did
But
they
the
all
GPS
think
was
she was
broken
the
that
wrong
day.
age, or did any of them know her proper age?
No, I don't think any of them knew her proper age. No. Everybody had assumed that she was at least 20 years younger than she really was when she died. And she just allowed them.
Did they think different numbers than each other?
No, they were within a year or 2 or 3.
Yeah, they all were within this little range.
It was truly how old do you think she was when she had us?
Yeah,
But didn't they also think you both were younger?
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
By 10 to 15 years younger.
And our little
They thought
sister
I
was the youngest.
They thought I was the youngest. Excuse me, hello. I am the oldest. I deserve all the accolades for that. I raised them.
Putting up with younger siblings.
I raised them. Excuse me. I raised them while also working 60 to 80 hours a week as a babysitter to pay the rent for
Well,
our
I
family.
knew you raised your little sister, but I wasn't sure if you had raised Tom.
I very much took care of him as well. And paid for every slumber party he ever had out of pocket.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that's part of raising, to make sure, it's, you get invited to the good parties, you have to have a good party, right? And them's the rules.
I had good parties and never got invited, but I was okay because everyone who would have invited me to a party were trash people, so it's not like I wanted to go anyway.
Tom had good friends. I will say that. Tom had really good friends who I still think of warmly all these decades later, so
that's important.
So yeah, it was, just so that's not, oh, Tom's the charity case. That was what he just cared about, was that. So yeah, but anyhow, I figure we go ahead and say hello. Abby is here. Hello, Abby. Does this mean that the laptop has been resurrected, or you found a way to join us on the interwebs?
So
I
exciting.
saw she posted on Instagram.
Oh,
She
okay.
did? Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Megan is here doing double duty. Hello, Megan. I mean, if I better talk about double duty, there's also Tom doing double duty, because I like to say it, y'all. And Sarah is here doing double duty because she knows I love to say it. Regina's here. Hello, sweetie. It is lovely to see you. And Maggie has made it. Hello, hello. So, and did I miss anybody? Maybe? No? Yes? It's that kind of day, y'all. For reals. It's that kind of day. Maggie's not feeling well. I hope you get to feeling better, sweetie. That's rough.
Feel better soon.
So, marketing and promotion. Here we are to get the final say for the end of the whole season of Writer Roundtable. It has been a wonderful season, by the way. And I just want to bring up, because truthfully, since I have ADHD, I have a tendency to forget to mention the things that are highest on my priority list. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but
it makes sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
If
I
you
haven't been diagnosed.
right,
And I don't think I ever will be, because everyone's like, oh, well, you cope so well. And I'm like, that doesn't, whatever. But I understand what you're saying.
right? Of it's the inconsequential things. Oh, that just easily I remember to say off the cuff. But the things that I want to be sure to underline and mention, I have a tendency to forget to say. So here, let me go ahead and say, because there are several episodes I forgot to say it. I just want to thank everybody both on screen and in our chat. Your support means the world to me. I am so grateful you all show up when you can show up, and you contribute when you've got something to say, or even when you're like, I'm just here for the show. It means so much to me. I want you to know, like, deep in my heart feels massaged with warmth because every one of you is so sweet and sincere, and just you're important to me. So thank you so much for all your support, contributing, the emotional support, and even, occasionally the financial support. A delightful surprise, but it means so much to me to know you care. So thank you. Enough of the gushy stuff. Moving on. So awkward. So the only things on our priority list today, and otherwise it's going to be just one of those sort of zeitgeist, the ramble of whatever.
Slash, let's be honest, since it's the last one, also probably recap.
Right. Is we wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about A/B testing. And we were going to use examples from previous shows, how we've tested and had different title options, and talk about that. So just so that people are a little bit more familiar with A/B testing, it really is effective. And the other thing is we wanted to talk about why, especially in the last 20 to 30 years, you don't see as much prices mentioned in direct advertising. Like they'll mention the product, they'll tell you all about the product. They don't necessarily. Thank you so much, Zara. You've always got my back, sweetie.
I'm also the Ko-fi queen, so anytime someone has one, I'll promote it, even if it's not mine.
And I just like to point out, I am trying to post more on Ko-fi, like as a blog. So if you just like to keep up on my blog, please feel free to follow me on Ko-fi. That's free, and you can keep up about what I'm blogging about. That is my plan for autumn, is to start really blogging regularly on Ko-fi. So just be sure, follow me there. So that was like our two priorities we wanted to mention today. And other than that, we don't have any sort of direct plan. It's just sort of going to be everybody can say whatever they want. Did anyone have any things they wanted to be sure to talk about?
I can't remember it off the top of my head, so I have to research it, but there's either a cover design website or a website for authors where they can do A/B testing for their covers, and people vote for what they like better. So I'm going to try and find that.
Is that the like DIY book cover, or is that a different place?
No, that's where they like design it for you. But
okay.
There's a website, and I want to try and find it.
Cool. That sounds really neat. I didn't know that was a service or an option available.
Watch it. I'm not going to be able to find it, and I'll feel awful.
That's okay. You know what? If you ever find it, we'll put it in the comments for the show so that everybody can find it. So I'm just saying, later, if you're watching, check the comments. So, does anybody else have anything they want to be sure to talk about today? And you
Marketing.
don't have to. What?
Marketing.
Marketing? A subject near and dear to Megan's heart.
Well, I was a marketer for a while, so it is. It's just trying to get all the knowledge to like come to the forefront of my mind. It's been a while, so I'm like, okay, back of the brain stuff, come back to the front.
Sure. Yes.
It's your time to shine now.
I am trying to develop some marketing skills, but I don't go to college for this. I just do it anything I can on my own, as usual.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel like I learn a lot more by myself than if I try to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised how many marketers are actually self-taught, like major marketers out there. A lot of them are self-taught. They don't have, a college education. A lot of them are college dropouts because the field is changing so often, and it's really hard for classes to keep up with, like, the minutia of marketing.
That is comforting to hear, because my reason for not being in favor of regular education anymore is because it's very visual and they are not that willing to accommodate you. So it's like, okay, I am better off learning at my own pace, by myself, for myself. Yes, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking into like probably working in something around that marketing for authors field in the future. So that's why I went all heavy on some social media aspects, and maybe I can provide some value for authors that way. I don't know.
Cool.
That's something I've been up to recently in these few months. In this last month, I started doing something like maybe I can do an Instagram profile critique for you, if you're a writer or a bookstagrammer who has just started. I could give you like an Instagram profile critique and see how we can optimize it so when people land on your profile, they will be more um like more pushed to like, oh yeah, I want to follow this person, it looks cool, so like that kind of stuff. So like profile
That's
critique
cool.
optimizations. Yeah. And since it proved to be helpful for some people, I am working on creating a PDF, which is like a guide of Instagram for authors, even though I know it's like abundant online. Like you can just go to YouTube and find all the Instagram tutorials you want to find. It's there. But but none of them give you examples for authors. So like
Yes, I've
maybe
noticed that.
yeah, none of them. They always bring the gardening example, the business example, the beauty example, everybody but writers. And I'm like, okay, so I have to learn this, like digest it and learn it and
Right.
transform it into something that can help writers.
Yeah.
So it would be with our terms, with our jargon, with our specific needs. And that's what I'm creating. It's gonna take me some time, but I'm onto it and I'm working on it. It seems like people really want it, so yay.
Yeah, I've actually, on that subject, I have researched as well how to utilize social media for marketing and promotion. And so I have been surprised because I'm like, I look just for creative people, like writers are among them, but there's also, musicians and
Yes.
painters, sculptors. There's a lot of different creative fields that people would definitely, benefit from learning how to promote their works. And yet I found very little for any of the creative industries, which was sort of surprising considering there's a lot of bands in this world. And
Yeah.
yet there are not a lot of, these websites run by, say, a professional marketer who runs a blog and they're like, oh, I can help you with this. They never seem to use musicians or bands as a hypothetical business.
Never.
And I think that's actually rather interesting because I grew up in the era of MySpace where it was all about bands.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like, really? Because it seems like if you really wanted customers, bands would probably be one of the groups more likely to want to hire marketing professionals. So show your chops. At least I've gotten lots of really good work doing photos for bands who need, cover album art, or they need liner note art. They need photography, of them. And I've done that a whole bunch. So surprising that, because I think it's kind of interesting to me, at least where we are, bands seem very happy to hire other people to help them in their marketing and promotion. Mostly because they would much prefer to do the music thing. They'd much prefer to practice, which I do think they should practice.
Yes.
But they would much prefer to do that than, steer away from their creative endeavor into the other areas. They're happy to hire because they can actually relatively easily get gigs. So the money is not as much of an object as, say, with other creative forms where sculptors may have a little bit of harder time getting quick cash.
Yes.
And so I've always found that so interesting that I hardly ever see stuff for musicians. Because whenever I see marketing and promotion advice for musicians, I always pass it on to all the musicians I know to help them. So I don't know. I think it's just a lot of people don't know how to help creatives in their promotion.
I think that's hitting the nail on the head right there, because I know a lot of marketers struggle with helping bands and authors, and so that's why they just don't touch it. They prefer to stick with the easy money makers like lawyers and
gurus and coaches,
real estate agents.
And,
Well, real estate agents and lawyers are two of the big ones if you're starting a marketing business to go after them.
I think art is also, or like anything creative, but I'm just saying art, kind of including writing and everything creative. I think it's harder for people sometimes to figure out how to market that for someone else if they're not like there for the creation process or understand what went behind it and stuff. But also it's such a gamble for everyone involved that maybe people are like, oh, I don't know that I could make it successful, and therefore they would, maybe burn a bridge with a client, a potential client or something. So I think yes, people should do it more, but I think there's a lot of being scared of failing, and not just the person who needs to succeed for their own stuff, but whoever they might hire if they're not already a pro at it.
I understand this, and I also feel similar. For example, I don't know. Like, I would be, if I do this, if I look into this, I would be helping authors in genres and concepts that I understand. So I'm sorry, romance authors, but I am asexual and on the edge of aromanticism. I think I cannot help you. So yeah, that would be a problem, because I don't know like the specifics of marketing for certain genres. So it would be similar to being a beta reader of a genre that you don't really manage, At least that's how I feel. I don't know if I'm just being paranoid or something about scared of romance. I don't know. I don't know. It's just something I feel that maybe I cannot help them as much as I would help a sci-fi author, for example. But when it comes to like the basics of marketing and optimizing a profile for attracting people, there I can help. But like the nuances, maybe not.
Yeah. Real quick, Eva and Charlie have joined us. Hello, darlings. It's lovely to
Hi.
see you. I did not want to forget you. I want you to know we did notice you're here. We're happy you're here. I think like I'm just going to say this, and again, I just want to point out, nobody needs to agree with me. If you don't agree with me, that's totally cool. I respect that. I am not expecting people to blatantly just, whatever Glory said, that is literally the last thing that has occurred to me. So it's only recently I found out that
you're not expecting us to glorify you,
right? Despite my name, I'm not expecting this. I'm not the one who picked my name, y'all. My mother gave it to me. But I think like lawyers and real estate agents, they're very much happy to be hands off about their marketing and promotion. They're like, oh, well, you're an expert. You know what you're doing. I just let you do it. Versus I think a lot of creative people really want it to be more like a collaboration. They want to have a say. They feel like who they are, their personality, and their authenticity are wrapped up in whatever marketing and promotion they do. So they feel a pressure to be involved, even when they don't necessarily want to be that involved. And I think that a lot of people in this world, no matter their profession, are not interested in collaborating with others. Even if it involves the livelihood of their business, they're not interested in collaborating. And again, this is just my opinion based on my observances.
Why do you think this is the case? Why do you think people don't want to collaborate?
Truthfully, I think it's because there's a lot of people who either never grew up with siblings, so they don't understand how to play well with others, or they have siblings that they don't talk to, and again, they don't know how to play well with others, versus understanding of there's just a lot of talking you do and a lot of listening you need to do, and they don't want to spend that time. Because I've met many of people who just literally was in a collaborative kind of business and did not want to collaborate. I count teachers in this, by the way. Oh, I never want to do group projects with like you could always tell who were going to be the good teachers and who were not going to be the good teachers when we graduated, because the ones that did not want to collaborate, or who like had this opinion of, I'll just do all the work because you're not going to do it anyway. And I'm like, you literally have known me for 3 semesters. What about me has like screamed, I'm not going to do the work. How dare you? Like, yeah, they're not going to be great teachers, because teaching is a collaborative effort. You're trying to convince another individual that they totally want to learn this information rather than anything else in the world. So I think it's just a lot of people, for a variety of reasons in their personal life, have never had to develop the kind of social skills required to effectively collaborate with others.
Like one of the skills we were taught early by our parents, and has held us in good stead. But most people, you tell them this and they look at you really weird, is that once an idea is put out for discussion, the idea is no longer yours. You are you should never be a champion of your own idea. The idea should stand on its own and everyone talk about it. Yeah. But also at the same time, you should not be discussing the idea because of one particular person who brings it up. Again, we're not discussing them, we're discussing the idea. And if you watch most people communicate when they are discussing ideas, they're talking about the person who brought it up. They are not just talking about that idea. It's always relative.
Right.
And so that, again, creates a lot of problems.
Versus if you know when you are consulting of, once you put that idea out, it's up for the whole group. Whether we're talking a group of 2 or we're talking a group of 20, it's up for the group to debate its merits, its weaknesses, its solutions, whatever its problems. That's up for the group to figure out and even to revisit multiple times over multiple meetings. And it doesn't mean anything about the person who initially put forward the idea. It doesn't mean good things or bad things about them.
But a lot of groups, if no one ever takes up a particular person's idea, they feel like they're being rejected by the group all of a sudden, instead of, no, those ideas aren't the ones working right now. Mm-hmm. Like so much feels.
So this is interesting. I mean, I lack social skills. I grew up alone, so I can totally see what you mean about the lack of collaboration. Like, they don't know how to play well with others, and I would be one of them. I mean, I want to, but I don't know how to. So
right. Well, not knowing how is different from being adamantly against the idea. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have encountered quite a bit of essentially other people were like, no, I'm not going to do this group project with you. I'm going to do it on my own, or we're going to do it separately, and we'll just put it together the day of the presentation or something like that, rather than. And I'm just using that as an example because I feel like some people, or most people, probably are more familiar with that as an example of a potential collaborative experience rather than business collaborations, which, while Tom and I have had several experiences with, many experiences, in fact, I don't know how everyone else is about their experiences with collaboration in a business setting. So I'm just bringing up the school setting simply because I figured more people would be familiar with it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I don't have good experiences with people.
Yeah,
and that's why I kind of learned the hard way that maybe I should just stay on my own, and until I learn to be more, normal, and until I learn better ways of socializing and stuff. So, I mean, I think my case is a little bit different because I just don't have social skills, and that's why I prefer to work remotely and get to know a person better before I decide to know, like, before I know if I can really help them or not, that kind of stuff.
And I mean, Tom and I have simply had a lot of experience collaborating with a very diverse, array of people in our lifetime.
Definitely.
Including each other, which when you have 2 people with both who essentially have communication disorder trying to communicate, the hijinks, y'all. Oh, the hijinks. We've had to learn the hard way how to even verify that what we think we heard is what that person intended.
I mean, at some point we have a sense of humor about, you think, 2 autistic people, they get each other. No, you just multiplied the problem.
Right. Exponentially, quite honestly. But nevertheless, and it's not just us trying to communicate with each other, it's each of us trying to communicate with our friends, other family members, people we're assigned to work with for a variety of reasons. And it's been a rocky road. Things have not gone great the majority of my life. It's only in the last decade that things finally started clicking together for me overall. Really, honestly, things started clicking for me collaboratively when I was in the education program the last 3 years in my late 20s, where I found there were other people who were better at collaborating than me, much better, and who essentially helped teach me over the course of doing group projects together. They taught me better how to communicate and also how to divvy up responsibilities, how to follow up in a effective but non-confrontational way. Like, it's because a lot of people have been very kind to me that I have gained the skills that have been helpful. So, you know, when they say about it takes a village, I absolutely agree. It takes more like a city for me. It takes a city to raise me, and I'm still working on it in my 40s. You know, of like, I'm a work in progress, y'all. But I consider most human beings are a work in progress, so it's all good to me.
Yeah. That's something I tell myself
Anyone
often.
who
Is just be
says
patient. You'll figure it out.
anyone who says they're not a work in progress is either lying or about to die.
Right? You know, they've gotten off the bus and they're like, no.
And another problem a lot of us face in the adult professional world is the problem of narcissistic behaviors. Humans have this tendency, and it's part of being human in the way we in general trust people to be honest. Like, that is the default in our minds, is we trust people to be honest about themselves. It's how we grow up. It's how we can survive in a community. But the downside is people who say that they are good at something and they're not tend to get promoted into those positions more than those who don't, which is one of the main reasons they've actually found men tend to be in positions of leadership more than women. Women tend to be more cautious about their skill set, and men tend to be over exaggerating what their skills are. And you get that Peter principle, where you get someone promoted to their level of incompetence, and a bad leader will ruin everything. If they don't know how to, get how to delegate, then you just get these awful, it ain't collaborating anymore. It's, everyone get the fire extinguisher for the trash fire and hope we don't get burned.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's where you see people not wanting to collaborate because all they've had are those bad experiences.
Understandably, when you've been burned multiple times, that's how you associate it. It absolutely makes sense. It's still unfortunate.
And that's why, a lot of good collaborative business relationships tend to get made over meals, where you can both sit down, eat. You now have excuses for pauses in your conversation, so you don't have someone automatically start assuming if one of you takes a long pause. Even if, no, that is actually what's going on. You're trying to think of how you want to communicate this, and it's not coming to you immediately. But that's why business lunches and business meals are actually so important. Is because then you can kind of see how the other person communicates. And you can really better determine, is this something where you two can collaborate? Or do you have two different communication styles to work together? And that's how you actually tend to get the good marketers to come in, and work with creatives, is you have food together. You break bread.
Okay, that's a problem. Geographically not where the people I would work with. Okay, this is a problem.
That's why you have Zoom meetings, and you still say, though, but I need to eat. Would you like to join me for lunch over Zoom? You don't actually have to be in the same room with each other. It's just you both have to be eating.
Right. And I mean, I've had so many Zoom lunches since the pandemic started, or excuse me, the panini we're now calling. My apologies, I'll get better at the jargon. Since the panini started, and like people who are, really devoted to working well with others, shall I say, have all been happy to essentially have Zoom meals with me. And it feels very similar to actually having business lunches like I'm used to from way back in the day. Where you can talk about, what did you get today? What's the food you're eating? Tell me all about it. And they're like, okay, now tell me about your food. Even if we're talking just a salad with chicken tenders from last night on it, y'all. Well, it's still, and then you can still talk about the other food meals you miss, but, if only they offered delivery or whatever, like really getting to know people on a personal basis before it being about business.
Mm-hmm.
Zara had to dip out. She's not feeling well. She left us a message. She says, I don't feel well. So I actually have to go much earlier, so I'll be okay for class. But I hope everyone has a good time listening and participating in the rest of the live stream. So
Hope she feels better soon.
Yeah, I hope she gets some rest and relief as soon as possible. It's always rough.
And apropos of nothing other than, I just don't see enough functionality in this world. This is how, functional friendships and relationships are supposed to work. Of Zara needs self-care.
Yes.
She's recognized this, and she wanted to let us know it was nothing else. It's just, self-care needs came up, and so she had to dip out. And so there's no reason for us to have any thoughts or really feelings about it. It's just okay, she needed, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's what functionality looks like. It's so rare they don't put it on TV anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think in a certain way, when we're talking about marketing promotion, we are talking about certain levels of collaboration, because at the very least, we're trying to collaborate with our readers or our fellow writers, or an expert in a particular field, such as editors or publishers, or even just, other social media experts.
Yeah.
Who are trying to help us. It's still collaborative. Yeah, I think streaming co-host is wonderful. I have brought my coffee. I hope everybody has a snack or something nice to drink.
It's too hot for coffee, Lori.
I have an insane amount of air conditioning going on.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's going great for me.
So we have one AC
It's
in our
one of the
RV,
few.
and we don't have an outlet for the AC in our bedroom.
Oh.
So my door is shut. So when I'm done with this, I'm like a little damp in places. It's fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Well, this way, like, the kids are out there watching a movie. I'm in here, no interruptions. It's like one day a week. I know I won't be interrupted. For now, anyway.
So, yeah.
For now.
For now.
Mm-hmm.
The air conditioning is how Glory compensates herself with such a small apartment.
Right.
At least it doesn't cost too much to keep it at a ridiculous AC level.
Ridiculous.
What do you have it at?
It is currently 65 degrees in my room right now.
Oh my goodness,
And the
that's cold.
stats at 62.
I would be so cold.
I would need like a sweater.
Yeah, people when they would visit back, before the panini, yeah, we always had throw blankets on the couch and hoodies.
Oh yeah, I would be like.
And there are actually Fearless gloves that are in a basket for visitors to put on. Because I'm so comfortable.
So, like, lately, by like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., it's usually like 75 degrees, but more like 80, 85. So so our AC is super loud. It's just loud. And so I used to have it down to like 70, 75, but it would never stop running. We just run constantly. So now I have it set 80, which seems like it'd still be hot, like inside, but there's a few times I'm like, oh, I'm going to turn it off. It's getting a little cold in here. But it's different. It's RV as opposed to a house or an apartment. But yeah, that I think that would be cool. 65.
That would
I'd
be
be a blanket.
Oh.
I'd be a blanket.
You would definitely need to put on one of my hoodies if you visited, which is why I keep them by the door. And like, yeah. So anyway, yeah. It's just like visiting, the Ice Queen from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I will offer you delicious treats while you curl up under a blanket.
Turkish delight.
Yes. I love Turkish delight, actually.
We just finished a box that we got. I think the country where we got the Yum boxes, where you get a box full of treats from a different country every month. And I think this one was Greece or something. And we had Turkish delights in there, and oh, they were so good. They were prickly pear cactus flavored.
Oh, those are the best. I love the flavor of prickly pear cactus. Oh, so good, so good.
Mm-hmm.
I also just want to point out I run really hot, so I am wearing this very sheer shirt because it helps me stay cooler. So I just don't worry, you'll never freeze if you go camping with me in the winter. I will just keep you warm. I will tell that story one day of how I kept 4 very elderly ladies alive in an ice storm in the middle of a cabin women's retreat one year when we had no heat.
Oh no!
It was just me in the middle and 2 little old ladies on each side with the bunk beds all pushed together. And I mean, like, oh God, I got so hot in there. There was like literally in our cabin, there was water running down the window because there was so much heat inside and it was so cold on the outside.
Oh wow!
Yes, I kept many a little old lady alive that weekend during the ice storm because we couldn't leave the campground either because all the roads were ice. We were stuck there and the gas line broke. So there was no heating anywhere except in the main hall where there was a really big old fireplace. So they kept the fireplace going. But that was it. So they put all the oldest little old ladies in the cabin with me and Mom because they were afraid they'd freeze to death. And everybody survived, y'all. It was just my body heat. So it's good for something. I know. Stephanie's like, this is amazing.
I know where I'm going in the middle of winter.
Yes, I will keep you warm. You will be totally fine. I've literally gone tent camping in the winter down here, and we've had to open the flap because it got so hot in overnight while I was sleeping. Like, it was just like, oh God, you just put out so much heat with that sleeping bag. I'm like, I know, I was like airing out the sleeping bag several times because it was getting hot. Hey, Laura. Going to munch on some wild blueberries and cream. That sounds amazing. Megan, were you going to say something? Or?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I thought my bad.
No, I'm just reading comments.
So, aside from camping, I guess that's more collaborative, right?
It definitely takes 2 to put up a tent. Well, no, you can do it yourself, but it's a lot easier if you have some help.
I've only camped when it's rained. Oh, no, let me put this right. I've only camped, and then it ended up raining the whole time I camped. My dad had a girlfriend for like 5 years, and her family had a family reunion on the Oregon coast at this campground. And every time it would rain the entire 5 days we were there. And so I got used to camping with like water in the corner of our tents. It's fine. So the fact that I get
didn't learn French gutters, huh?
And so, now that I can sleep in an RV with this rain pouring down on us and there's no leaking anymore, we're good. It's fine.
Nice. Well, I saw Maggie's. Oh my glory. Okay, I will keep you alive. Don't worry. I've actually been a Girl Scout off and on the vast majority of my life, and a Girl Scout assistant leader as well. I enjoy camping, just not here in the Deep South in July and August. Why do people down here want to go camping in July and August? It is like, y'all, I am not exaggerating when I tell you inside my room right now, it is 58% humidity. It is way more humid outside right now.
Oh my goodness.
I did hear some thunder when we first started the show. So that may also be why it is so humid, but it is normal down here in July and August to have temperatures above 90, even above 100, and have humidity that's 80 to 90% in the middle of the day.
So when's a good time to come to your state that you live in?
I live in the southern half of Mississippi, so I would honestly recommend November and December are lovely. Particularly
That's pretty much when
November.
fall starts.
Yeah. October, it's still quite warm and humid here. And also autumn is very rainy. So November is ideal because it tends to not be super rainy in November, but also I'm not aware of any snow or ice storms, at least in the last 50 years, here in November. Now, we did have a serious ice and snowstorm in December a couple years ago, which was amazing to watch because the road out in front of our apartment is literally at about 30-degree incline. And when it iced, to just watch cats get out there and just slide all the way down the road, they're looking like, what's happening? Like, they weren't scared, but they were like, why is the world moving? It was hilarious. We literally would just sit out there in blankets just watching and just, this is great. Because, like, the cats had never experienced, there's a lot of neighborhood cats around here. The cats had never experienced ice before, at least ice out on the roads. And so they just were not prepared for when they got on an icy patch, just sliding all the way down a block and not being able to get off the block. It was fantastic. So we have had an ice storm and a snowstorm that immediately followed. What was that, like 4 or 5 years ago now? So I would recommend November is ideal. It never seems to, the highs are around the 60s or 70s in November here. So it's quite nice. Very mild. That's what I would personally recommend. Come for Thanksgiving.
All right. Yeah, so that's what we were talking about. We weren't sure if when we leave Oregon, we're going to go like the north part of the U.S. and then come down the East Coast and then travel to like, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Arizona, or if we're going to go south and go around. But I'm like, if we go south and go around, we'll be like in Pennsylvania in December. That is,
would not recommend.
I don't want that. I don't know. I'm traveling away from the snow. I don't want to go. So we're just basically going to drive from Wisconsin back to Oregon, spend a few weeks there. We'll get some stuff taken care of, and then just come back this way and travel through like Wisconsin, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, and then kind of down the East Coast, and then come around and see what there is to see and see what other small town we can break down in. Right?
There is a Jellystone down here.
There is a Jellystone in Louisiana.
There's one in Louisiana. There's a lot. I mean,
yeah, there are. I think there's one in Florida, isn't there? Yeah.
I really feel if they're going to call it Jellystone, every day they have to have someone on staff who is required to go dress up as Yogi, as well as Ranger. I can't remember his name.
Wasn't it Ranger Rick, or am I thinking the wrong? Maybe Ranger somebody. Anyway,
Ranger Rick. Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to stay at Jellystone, when you drive up, it should be like, here's your basket. Please put it out on your table. Like, you don't have to put anything in it, but put your basket on the table outside your RV. I feel like, like if you're at Jellystone, what are you doing with your life if there's not a picnic basket out there?
I just want to go to some place where the kids can like spend like 5 hours swimming. They can sit there in the shade but still be warm and read my book, and maybe jump in the pool when I get too hot and then go back to read my book. That's what I want to do with my time. It's not a lot to ask, but it is.
Sounds like a good plan to me. So, shall we take a break? And when we come back,
yes,
we will talk more ideas and experiences. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, y'all. We're going to do the things, you could write, but you could also get something to drink, get something to snack on.
I'm definitely getting a drink.
Right? Do the things, do the self-care, but at the very least, please, please, please save your work. I will see you all back here in about 10 minutes. beep, 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 beep. Hello, hello.
Hello.
So, I hope no one melted during the break.
Nope.
Good.
Although I did go out there and I make the kids touch the edges of my clothing, and they were not pleased. This is a little damp.
Oh dear.
They're like, like there is like a tiny circle vent that you can feel the AC unit air come out from like that far from the ceiling, and it's like that much further to go down. So like, yeah, none. But once the sun goes down, I have 2 windows. I can lay on my bed and there's a cross breeze.
Oh, that's nice.
But-
Oh, nice.
It is
Cross
nice.
breezes are really effective when it's not, unbearably hot.
I wouldn't know what that's
And they're-
like.
And there's screens on everything, so like it's fine. It's just, but it's funny because one of my kids, the other day, it was like 95 degrees outside, and they get up. I'm still awake like at 2 a.m. and I come back to bed. I'm like, do you know what that daughter is having on her feet? She put on her slipper socks. She knitted over the wintertime. I'm like, why? She's like, and the next day she goes, my feet were a little cold. If you're a little cold, put on a freaking blanket. Don't wear socks, slipper socks on your feet. It's fine. It's all fine.
It's all fine.
That is my motto for the entire rest of the year. It's just fine.
It's all fine.
It's fine.
Yes.
It's fine. It's all fine.
It's all fine. Yes. Yeah, let's see, what did I do? I got Stephanie and Megan's details in the description updated. Haha.
Nice.
I don't know if they're accurate still.
I don't know. I'll look at it later. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, give me your critique and I'll fix it. Because I had seconds to spare. So it was just like, oh, I think this is one of the previous books. Oh, I'll find the link for the latest one later. Yeah, I don't know how everybody else did, but that is what I accomplished. So yay. Important stuff. Oh, and I also tweeted about with the show link because I forgot to do that earlier, and I also had forgotten to put any links in the Discord, so I put links in all the Discord chats. That I usually
Nice.
All right.
do.
All the links look correct from what I can see.
Awesome. Thank you,
From
Megan.
me, at least.
Yes. Delicious fruit salad.
Ooh.
Yes. So
Good fruit salad is really
Okay.
hard to come by
Lay
out
out
here.
one of my links wrong.
okay. Just let me know and I'll fix it in the next break. Tom, would you like to read
It
what
is-
Laura wrote during the break?
Sure. Glory sits upon the peak, gazing down upon her dominion. Those below hide their faces from her beauty, for none can compare.
Love it.
I'm gonna go with this is for the fan fiction in the World Anvil.
So
If not, it should be.
this reminds me, I had an idea. I was talking with Glory,
Hmm.
and I realized probably Laura would be the best person to do this because of all the flash fiction she writes.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this idea of you could print out artwork and post it up places and put these little NFC tags on them. And if people touch their phone to it, they can then read the flash fiction associated with the piece of art.
Oh.
Because it'll hold up to about 80 words, between 50 and 80 words per tag.
Ooh.
You can actually
That's
get longer. You can
flash
also get,
fiction.
you can also get ones that are about twice that size. So they have up to 480 characters. So about 160 to 200 words. of
That
like,
would be a challenge, but that would be fun.
Yeah.
and like so people wouldn't know what's the story going to be, but they just see the art piece.
Right. And you just touch your phone to it if you have NFC enabled, which all iPhones automatically have it always on. With Android, you can have it off, so you'd have to, if you already had it turned off, you can turn it back on. And you just touch your phone to it, and you receive that information.
There's just something I thought would be, was fun something. Or like get a set of tarot cards.
Yeah.
And just write flash fiction about what's going on in each of those tarot cards.
As like an art project.
Yeah.
It sounds really cool. A lot of artistic potential with that. Yeah. So how did everybody else do? Anything?
I got a beverage.
Very nice.
And I don't know. I feel like I did more than that, but I don't remember what I did.
I'm sure you did something.
I'm sure I did something too.
Yeah,
I got some
Questions
treats.
what?
I just
Ooh.
got something to drink and rested
Nice.
for a bit.
Nice. I did see that Eva was talking about a black bear had moved in the neighborhood. Or somewhere near.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Living in some national forest over yonder ways. I think he's new to town. Perhaps the only one. Is it okay to hope they move here? Bears full as neighbors. Okay.
Bears make a big mess.
Bears. Okay, and bears do smell like naturally. Like it's not that they're necessarily dirty. The musk glands they have are quite strong. That said, I will say that the black bears we have down here in Mississippi are very docile, even by bear standards.
I want to see a bear. I want to be camping and be like, all right, kids, you can't go outside. There's a bear outside. And I also want to be stopped driving on the road by a herd of bison. But, just weird things like that.
Can I give you a quick bit of annoying, slightly problematic trivia about bears?
Slightly problematic.
Go ahead.
Just slightly, y'all. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So they always talk about, black bears, you scare away. Brown bears, you run.
Scaring you away.
Okay.
The problem is they come in both colors. The difference between them is black bears have shorter front legs, so they're actually like all going downhill from their butt.
Right.
And brown bears are level.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes. Now, I'll say that if for some reason you actually want to attract black bears and you live in Mississippi, I will tell you one of my Girl Scout camping experiences down here in South Mississippi, because there's Camp Atacama here. That's the Girl Scout camp here. And our cabin kept being rifled through every morning while we were away at breakfast. We would come back because, there was always inspections. And it kept getting rifled because bears can undo latches. At least down here. They're very smart. And it turned out that one of my cabin mates had brought illicit potato chips. And hidden them in her suitcase, which the bears knew how to open latching suitcases.
Oh, wow.
And they also, though, knew how to put the suitcase back, although they didn't fully latch it. They just, put the lid back on and shove it back under her bed. So it took us three days in a row to figure out what was going on, and that's how we found the potato chips. Once the potato chips weren't there, they did not try to break into our cabin anymore. Black bears love potato chips and Shipley's donuts. So be
would
careful.
you say it was smarter than the average bear?
It was, apparently it's really on average for the black bears around here, but we do have very smart, very docile black bears in South Mississippi. Not that I recommend anybody get near a black bear down here, just because you never know when a mama is going to be a little bit in a bad mood, because they love their babies. They love their cubs. But that's really, from what I understand, even from rangers, the only time they've ever had a possibly dangerous interaction with a bear had to do with a mama bear being concerned about her cub.
Okay.
Other than that, they are very mild-mannered down here. So when you see one, if you just wait, they'll just move on. You know, like, you don't have to, like, try to scare them or anything. They're very much like, oh, hey, you don't have food. Okay, well, I'll move on. And then that's it. They're, like, very mild-mannered. So screaming, though, makes them nervous, and then they tend to climb up trees, and then it's a whole thing, and then they keep crying to the other bears, so then the other bears have to come see them and see if they can get them. It's a drama. So it's better not to scream unless, like, you feel like you're in imminent danger. Yeah, bears know how to open doors.
I mean, but it also, like, that just reminds me of, one of my favorite quotes ever from a ranger. Why can't you make bear-proof trash bins? And it's because the range of there's this problem because smart bears overlap a substantial amount with dumb humans. So
if you make a bear-proof garbage can, you've also made it human-proof.
For the vast majority of people.
Yeah, like, so that is how smart bears are, is smart enough that humans and bears compete.
Are, like, the bear-proof garbage bins the ones that you, like, put the garbage thing in and then, like, dump it down like a mailbox slot? Is that what that is? Have you seen those?
Wait,
like,
okay,
not the mailbox slot one.
So we're at one of the Theodore Roosevelt National Park entrances, and one of the visitor centers had these garbage bins, and you would put, like, your garbage in it and then kind of, like, have a lever to dump it in, kind of like a mailbox slot.
Yes.
But once you dump it in,
like a night deposit.
Yeah, like that. Is that what you mean by, like, a bear-proof garbage bin?
Like, that's the actual one that will keep them out versus, but people have a hard time understanding how to use it.
Yes, like, it's been a real problem of humans not figuring out how to. You have to open it up, put the garbage in, and then close it. And since they can't, I know, I can see you all in the back of your heads. You're like, Glory, you are BSing me right now. There's nobody that
sounds exactly like
it's not even that hard to use. Like, you just
for books.
And yet, like, we've literally, because we did a lot of the social media for the local Audubon group for many years, and so they would keep asking us to come to their Audubon meetings for a variety of reasons, and like, so we'd go anytime, especially they were dealing with mammals versus birds. There's a lot of bird people here, which birds are okay. It's just there's not as many fun stories with birds. It's like, if there's a mammal, somebody's giving me to talk on a mammal, there's going to be fun stories. So, and so we would go, especially to the mammal ones. So there's a lot of rangers who give talks on the circuit all over the state every year. And so, yeah, like, we've talked to a lot of rangers, and we're like, so tell us about your bear-proof trash bins. And they're like, oh, why can't people figure out how it works? And I'm like,
I didn't want to say that, like, I'd never seen one of those before, but I didn't think it was that complicated.
No, it's not.
Okay, but here's another part of just to explain about humans and bears, and who is it that's supposed to be the intelligent one? There was a problem about a decade ago in, I want to say it was Vancouver, the city, where they had ordinanced that all buildings and residential houses
it was Vancouver, Canada. It was Vancouver, British Columbia.
Were now required to have push open doors.
Yeah, like, not knobs. It's the handle, so you can just press on it like with an elbow or something. It was supposed to be elderly friendly doorknobs, and they instituted that all public buildings, as well as all apartment complexes, had to have this. The problem is bears know how to use it, and people don't lock their doors. Like, okay, so I want you to remember, so anywhere where the elderly were going to be, anywhere disabled people were going to be, had to have only these kind of doorknobs, okay? Keep this in mind. which meant there were a lot of elderly suddenly dealing with invasions of bears in their homes and apartments and community centers everywhere.
It was a
Because the
crazy
Force
year.
figured it out, and they taught everybody literally within a month. Vancouver, British Columbia was overrun with bear invasions. Anywhere where they were disabled or elderly people, like, oh, y'all, it was a nightmare. Because the last thing you want is somebody who cannot run or even hobble quickly suddenly dealing with a bear in their home, like, and there's the 911 operator going, get out there, and they're like, I can't, my walker's on the other side of the bear.
Oh no.
It's like a nightmare. Yeah. Maggie says, we have metal dumpsters with D-ring carabiners to lock them. They had to stop using the locking carabiners because people didn't realize to twist the bolt to unlock the carabiners. Gonna not make a lesbian joke right now. And a lot of people won't put the D-ring back because taking off a carabiner before unhooking the clasp is too much work. Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'll make the joke if you won't. This is what happens when you don't have enough lesbians in your community.
I'm just saying, y'all. That's how I flirt with lesbians. You just shake a couple carabiners together and they will like suddenly show up at that part of Home Depot.
I have some good news. It's not bear related.
Okay.
So our truck's being taken in tomorrow for the appointment to get the transmission looked at. And I just got told via text message that they're going to not only drive my husband back home tomorrow, they're going to come pick him back up when it's ready.
Oh,
Nice.
20 miles away.
nice.
Oh, nice.
Wouldn't get that back home, that's for sure. They'd be like,
Yeah, that's
figure it out yourself.
Right? The last thing I'm going to say about bears is one of the rangers showed me a video they had on Close Look TV of a mama bear teaching her baby bear how to get into the bear-proof trash cans. Like the little baby bear, she gets the baby bear to climb up on her shoulder, and then she opens it up, and the little baby bear then gets in, and she closes it so he could get the food, and then she just sit there and wait. She waits like 2-3 minutes, and then opens it up, and then like closes it and opens it until he gets in it, and then he got out.
Oh wow.
And he brought her food.
Smart bears.
So I'm just saying, the smarter than the average bear is maybe a little too smart for humans. That's all I'm going to say about bears. If you think about it, bears are good at collaborating. I'm just going to bring it back. I'm just going to bring it all the way full circle back to our discussion about collaboration in marketing and promotion.
So you want to go on to A/B testing?
Okay. All right. So let me pull up. So did you want to start with the writer roundup A/B titles or the movies show?
Let's start with the movies.
All right. Scrolling. Trying to find it.
We had a lot for Black Panther.
Okay. All right. Good Lord, did we have a lot? Okay. Okay, I've just made it to Asgard. Hold up. I'm just scrolling back, y'all, because this Telegram group is huge. Scroll. All right. Oh, now I've made it to, okay. Now I've made it to Black Panther. Okay, I'm ready. Should I go over... Should I just start reading out all our various titles we were talking about?
Yeah, like these are just ones, and we then afterwards talked about which one actually zings.
Okay. Black Panther and How to Be a Grown-Up. How Black Panther's family saved him. Black Panther, the ruler we all dream of. Black Panther and competent rulers. Black Panther's fantasy rulers. Why are there so many single moms in Black Panther? Black Panther and the Orphan Child.
That last one is very Harry Potter like, and no, thank you.
Oh,
Why
there's a
does-
few more.
Why
You
does
want me
Wakanda and Zamunda keep abandoning their kids in America? Black Panther and Zamunda, the hidden story. The abandoned family of Black Panther and Zamunda. Is Wakanda and Zamunda colonizing America?
that was one we got close to. We were
Yeah.
tempted to do.
Black Panther and Zamunda's lost children. Wakanda versus Zamunda, heirs to the empire. Wakanda and Zamunda, African empires. No, we went with is Wakanda and Zamunda colonizing America? That's the one we went with. So those were like the titles that partly we do as a brainstorming, where we're just like literally sending to each other anything that we can think of, and we're commenting on it, and then we then start narrowing it down to what gets, because what we ultimately want for these titles is we just want people to click through. You know, like we're still going to have a show worth people staying for. But in the meantime, we want them at least to give us a click through for curiosity's sake. Without attracting trolls. Because that's our goal, is we do not want trolls. So let me scrolling. Because we ended up talking a lot about pictures. Okay, so the next one was, I believe, about Iron Man, because now we've got titles for Iron Man. Iron Man, the Marvel villain we all love. How is Tony Stark able to triumph in what should be otherwise tragic stories? Let's see, that's what we went with. If Iron Man 2, let's see, Tom writes, if Iron Man 2 is a Macbeth story, that makes Sam Rockwell and Mickey Rourke are Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Howard Stark is Duncan, and Tony and Rhodey are the sons Malcolm and I forgot. Let's see. I think for Asgard, we ended up just discussing that in person.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about Women of Marvel. So let's see, there's the I Reject Your Reality and Substitute My Own. Death to Male Writers and Their Female Unit Characters. Let's see. We went with our fave characters who say, quote, I reject your reality and substitute my own. That has turned out to be a surprisingly good title, because it didn't do that great when we initially debuted that episode, but on replays, it's been doing pretty well.
Nice.
Let's see. Okay, for Hulk, Ant-Man, and Doctor Strange, let's see. We're going to figure out why these movies aren't as enjoyable to watch as they could be. We can rebuild it. We can make it better. Cannot say that line out live streaming.
Yeah, then we just had copy.
Yeah. And so for our alternate title, why do these movie stories suck so hard? That one also worked surprisingly well for the short, because that is one of the things we do, is we will test with, you can make a short by just doing like an Insta story, like on Canva. You make a short and you animate it. And and what do you need for animation? It's just like the little sparkles or something, or like literally it's buttons you can press to animate it. You download that, you upload it to YouTube as a short, and we tested out titles on that to see what people click through each day, and that would influence what title we'd actually go with for the show, to see just what people responded to, what they were clicking through. Let's see.
Oh, we actually had a pretty good number for Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. For Spider-Man, we went with Marvel's High School Musical without songs. It's literally what we were calling it.
Now just scroll down to the Avengers.
And everyone loves their friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm scrolling. Everyone calls you a degen until they need you to save the Earth.
That was the first idea we had for Avengers.
Dysfunctional family makes for the most fun superhero movie. Saving the world with broken teammates. Saving the world with broken friends. You and your broken friends need to save the world. Now what? That's what we went with. And then we had a discussion about should we replace broken friend with frenemy. You and your frenemy need to save the world. Now what? And we were like, it's not working. Scrolling. Okay, and that's the end of the awkward sibling. I mean, the movies one.
So
But yeah, with the shorts, you can kind of see what kind of click through you're getting.
Oh, is that how you figured out like which one got more response?
Yeah, we put out two. We figure out like our top two. They were like, these both definitely have some punch to them. And then we put them both on little shorts, and we'd see what the view rate became. You know, there'd be like little 15-second shorts.
Honestly, I'd make them like 10 seconds because, you know, you can adjust the animation time for a video in Canva.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not really animated beyond the first 5 seconds. And it would tell us what kind of titling people are responding to on YouTube about that subject.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really easy, fast, cheap way to A/B test titles because ultimately, again, what I said was we just want people to click through. The video still has to hold up, but first I need a click through. Mm-hmm. Why the women should run the Marvel? I mean, like, yeah. Why are all the Marvel men emotionally broken? Again, yes, Maggie, I agree. Marvel's menopausal males, so true. OMG.
Menopausal males.
The menopausals. But that is one of the ways we found to A/B test. Another way is we try it in Twitter by literally scheduling different tweets for different days and trying out different titles. I just want to point out, like, if we're just talking about, for instance, I'm just going to use YouTube videos for this, just as an example, but you could also do this on story titles, to try out what kind of title for your YouTube video would work. You can literally tweet for one day a particular title and the video, like the link to the video and a short description of what the video is about, you know what, and see how many click-throughs you get in 24 hours. And then the next day or 2 days later, you can try your alternate A/B title, again with the link to the same video. Neither of those titles have to be the title of your video, but you're looking to see what are people actually finding clickable about this. And then once you feel after a week that you have a clear idea of what is working, you can then take that title and change out your YouTube video title for that. You can honestly, I've seen authors actually, for years, I've seen authors do this on Twitter for the titles of their stories or books. They would literally, if you're interested in beta testing, here's the title of the story, message me, or reply to this if you're interested in beta testing. A week later, I see them send out the exact same Twitter, but instead the title would be different. It had the same short description. They had just made a different, Canva picture for the book title with the other title. Again, it's just beta testing. And I noticed that there was usually like a dramatically different response to one of the titles over the other. Like one title definitely would only have, say, 10 to 20% of the responses compared to the other title. And that's the bigger response title is what that person would go with as their final title for the story or an adjustment of it.
Also, I've seen
them do
several.
this for years on Twitter.
Also, I've seen them on Twitter do where they will post a sort of character profile / bio of and see what people think about it. To see whether they should include this as in their story. Would this add something that people want, or is this just something they're thinking of that might be of interest?
And like literally, the tweet is, "Would you read a story about this character?" And there's a picture, and then it's threaded with another that actually has the little descriptor of the character. And then people are there in the replies talking about, "Oh, I like the picture, but that description, it's not quite got." People would honestly reply.
People love to give their opinions, especially when it doesn't require much effort on their part.
The poll function on Instagram is very good for A/B testing because it's a type of
yeah.
this or that, yes or no question.
Mhm.
And this also drives a lot of engagement to your Instagram stories. Therefore, the more engagement you get in your stories, the more the algorithm is going to push the rest of your content to the people who actually care about following you. It's ridiculous, but that's how it is. And so this is why everybody on Bookstagram, for example, more than Instagram for authors, but like Bookstagrammers are at the top of the game with the polls. They have like Bookstagram edition of this or that for paranormal, and they give you like a bunch of options, and they run different polls. I've done it. I did the sci-fi version of it because I never see people doing sci-fi stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it myself. Perfect, better for me. And I just do it, and I see engagement going up and down the more I do the polls. Like the more I do them, the better it gets for me. So it's like about testing different types of content that I'm doing on Instagram. And stories, I show my face, for example, because stories disappear, and if I don't want to put it in a highlights, then I don't. So that's where I show my face, and sometimes I see better engagement there, sometimes no. But A/B testing can apply to all kinds of social media, and A/B testing actually pushes the engagement stuff, which is going to be beneficial for pushing your content in front of even more people organically. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, you definitely should be A/B testing like almost everything. I can't think of exceptions off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are some. But yeah, you definitely should A/B test everything because it lets you know because you can think one thing about your audience, but your audience actually knows themselves, and it's good to get their opinion on things instead of just going with what you think they'd like, just because you may like it or something.
Yes,
that doesn't always translate over to your audience.
But trust me, none of what I like or want to do translates well to the rest of the people, because what I like versus what everybody likes is like no. So yeah, I agree. You should ask people instead of trying to do it everything yourself.
I mean, also, like, it can be very effective to ask people who have read your story, how would you describe this story? And just here, no matter how off the wall their description may be, at the very least, the knowledge you gain from it is what stood out to them in their memory after they've read it. Like, what stays with them. Because that can inform you about what to focus on in your descriptions or your back copy blurbs, whatever. Because that's what's remains with them. And it is a great way to get that kind of feedback. Again, like having people invest in you and your projects, it's very useful to get support.
Tom has been one of the few people who have given me feedback on the story that I worked on. That is not like, oh, but I want more details. I have a problem. I have developed a kind of aversion to, but I want more kind of feedback. More what? So yeah, my social skills being what they are right now. Ugh.
I know it's not easy to extract usable information from people. That is one of the real reasons why marketing is a profession.
Sorry, go on.
You'll probably say the same thing. Don't worry. Go on.
No, actually, I was going to go in a different direction. I was saying, like, it is one of the reasons I've actually focused a fair amount of my independent study over the years and decades in learning how to better interview people. Because if you ask people what do they want, and then you try to give them what they said they want, that is not what it turns out they actually are going to respond to. People do not, as a general species, give accurate feedback about what they want versus what they think they want.
There's a story about, I think it was Ford, and he went around he was like, if I asked people what they wanted, they'd just say a faster horse. And he was like, but that's not how you innovate with cars. And I forget the rest of it, but basically he was saying something similar to what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's just something to keep in mind about. So, like, I grew up, I was in my 20s when I was doing this. I had TiVo for a while, and I recorded all of those inside the actor studio and watched the vast majority of them to really study James Lipton, on how he interviews people. What kinds of questions does he ask, and what does he ask that he gets interesting responses or more sincere responses? Versus, you can tell when an actor is saying something they have rehearsed 1,000 times. So it was very helpful for me to watch James Lipton, but really watching any kind of skilled interviewer can be useful, or was for me anyway, when I was really studying how to interview people in order to communicate better with them.
I want to say, if you're looking for the research about how people actually behave and think that pays off, the phrase is behavioral economics. That is the only form of economics where they actually test a hypothesis in the real world with people and see what they do. And it's rarely what they think they're going to do. But that's where the research we were talking about of do not mention money when you're trying to get people to do stuff socially with you and engage with you.
I have a question about this, because is this the reason why people get annoyed by sponsored videos? Like, oh, there you go, talking about the sponsor again.
Because all of a sudden money has gotten involved with this social activity of theirs. That's the real reason why. Because humans have two modes. They have an economic bartering trade, and then they have cash equivalent. Everything works on the money system. They are entirely separate. You can barter social things for physical goods. Humans don't have a problem with that. But the second money gets brought in, then it's all money.
Have you heard the story about the red paperclip that was traded until they got, I think it was a house is what they went for.
It was a house, yeah.
One
anyway was a house.
They did have a lot of people help them with that, though.
Because
that was not just a good talker.
They clearly stated what their goal was, and they asked the entire greater community to help them achieve this, and they gave a good social reason why people could get behind it, because they were trying to avoid homelessness. And so they were truly trading on social value. One of the things that I found worked quite well when I did home parties was there's a lot of behaviors when you're going to do a party in someone's home, which is essentially, it's a sales pitch that goes on for an hour, and it's the party itself that's going to go on 2 to 3 hours between eating, it's talking and chatting, and also the sales part that goes on in another room where people individually order stuff, and they either get some of it right then or they get it all later. But it's still to a certain degree, cash is going to happen in one way or another. But what you really need in order to have the most success for any party, for any salesperson, is you need both the hostess or host and the attendees to do certain behaviors that are going to mean that you're more likely to do well in sales. And what somebody, not me, someone else devised a genius plan of that bingo card thing, where you're asking, like, okay, if you've done these things, you can mark it off. And if you get, say, a diagonal, or if you do a blackout, I will give you these free things in exchange. And, people essentially have a choice of what they're going to do. Are they going to bring a friend? Which doesn't mean the friend has to actually pay for or buy anything. But to bring another friend means they're more likely to stay through the entire sales pitch as well. But there's things like bring a friend, bring an order from somebody else, like someone in your work or some other family member's order, bring it with you to submit. If you told someone else about it or shared your catalog before the party, you can get, various marks. But essentially, all of these are different behaviors that are going to help ensure that it's the biggest sales party it can be. But since there is no direct money exchanging hands, the person playing the bingo is not going to get cash. They are going to get items, but
You
they
never
are not
mentioned
going to
cash.
There is no cash.
There are no gift cards.
There's no gift cards because you don't give gift cards, you give actual items.
I have another question about it, because I am the kind of person who would, if I like a product or a platform like a website or like a tool like, let's say, Canva, I talk about it and I say I use it for everything and I do it, but it's not sponsored. It's just me being, hey, this helped me. Maybe it helps you. I like to talk about it. I don't know if that's good because it really isn't sponsored. I don't want people to think that I'm getting paid for it when I'm not.
Well, you have to state that you're being paid for something when you are getting sponsored by it. You can't
Yes.
get a sponsorship and not say that you're
Right, exactly. But, well, I haven't.
But
It's not
people
sponsored.
assume it's not being paid for if you don't say it.
yeah.
That's the reason why they got so big about saying it has to. If you paid, you have to say it, because people assume if you're talking about something, then it's because you just enjoy it. It is
Mhm.
just a because you want to share this with others. You want to be helpful to others. That's why you're
Yes.
sharing, and they are more likely to believe that this is then genuine. Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Okay, cool.
That will always actually help build your reputation of
Mhm.
I want to share this because I think it works well. I think you should probably try it out too. There is a YouTube channel I've really been enjoying watching called C. Jane Drill, which is run by two women. One is, I want to say, a general contractor, and the other is an electrician. They've both been doing in the industry for 20 plus years, 30 years now. And they just go over a lot of little helpful, useful things and, products. Since in general, they do so many products that are interesting and useful, most people don't know about, then they'll say, like, and this one is sponsored, I'm using it anyway, so it's not a problem. They'll say that stuff so it doesn't hurt as much because they do so much in general that it's just here's someone who wanted to make sure they got mentioned on me because I'm doing so many of these.
Yeah. And also, like, just being very clear if you are sponsoring something. So, for instance, at the bottom of our descriptions, we do have Amazon affiliate links to the products that we really love. Like, these are the products where, honestly, even if we didn't have an Amazon affiliate link, we'd happily tell someone about if we thought it would help them with a problem. But we still make it clear this is an Amazon affiliate link. So it's one of those, if you want to help us, that's great. And if you don't, that's totally fine too. But we just want to share, like, we found these products. Like this week, I put on the link for the microwavable whistling kettle. it occurred to me, we have been using this thing since 2018, the same one, and we love it so much. And I'm like, oh, well, we should probably list that. So, because most people don't even know there's such a thing as a whistling microwavable tea kettle.
Oh, nice.
And it's very microwavable, y'all. It's very
It's made
microwavable.
it's a glass cylinder inside a plastic holder. So it's safe to handle, and it's also hygienic. So no worries on any front.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we really like it. It works well.
Love it. Because also, I never wonder if the water's hot enough, because that is a problem with microwaves, or the water's too hot, and if you don't have something in it, it won't boil, so you don't know that it's reached above water boiling temperatures, and you could get burned that way too. Because the moment you put a tea bag in, it'll boil over, and it could literally boil over if you put it like in a mug or something. So I had those worries for literally years. And then I was like researching, is there such a thing as a microwavable tea kettle? And then I was like, there's a whistling one, so I can walk away from the microwave. Hallelujah. It's because I need that reminder, or I will forget. I'm not going to tell y'all how many times I have left a mug of water in the microwave overnight.
Yeah.
So many times.
Everyone in our family.
Yeah. So it was so helpful to find that. And then, as I said, we ordered it in 2018. We're still using the same one. From 2018, and it occurred to me this weekend of like, oh, I should probably list that. It is a thing that we love and we stand by, whether a person like even if we weren't having an Amazon affiliate link, we would still be like, oh, do you know about this? Do you have a problem leaving mugs in the microwave like me too? Well, I've got a product for you. And so that's why I was like, oh, I should probably list that, because it's something that we have literally tried and it's still true. So that's something like where we list it, and yes, we let people know there's a possibility we could make a few pennies off of if you ordered it after clicking on our link, but so that going in, like, you don't have to, but here, we already recommend this item. Yeah.
I forgot where I was going to go with this, but I was going to say I like how Sarah does the Ko-fi, how she's associated with that and how she advertises that. I think it's a great way to go about it, but I forgot what other point I was going to make.
It's not actually even though it does technically involve money, it is not a cash exchange. From Zara's point of perspective, to anyone else, this is a cashless gift, assistance, whatever you want to think of it. It's a social cred exchange. It is not a cash exchange, because she's simply like, hey, if you get on Ko-fi and you actually start selling things, or if you want to open a store on there, I have the ability to get you a free year doing it, so you don't have to split any money with Ko-fi. Especially while that first year while you're working on it.
Yeah.
Obviously she's been doing it so much that Ko-fi is like, hey, you want to help rep us? And she's like, okay, yeah, I could. But at no point is there money between her and any friends she has.
Yeah.
And so the social credibility stays correct. If Ko-fi did that, on the other hand, it would still automatically be a money discount situation. Versus, because it's through a secondary person, it's a friendship situation.
Right. It's, hey, I've gotten this deal. Can I give it to you? Can I, it's like the equivalent of, and I've had this happen in my life where somebody's like, hey, I got a rebate for this thing, but they also sent these coupons. There's no way I'm going to buy 2 computers or something like that. Do you want one? And again, no money exchange, but the friend gave it to me. I took it as a social exchange, and where I could possibly save money. But let's be honest, a coupon still is an incentive for me to buy that product in the first place.
Yeah, there are many times where I've bought a product that I had no intention of buying just because there was a coupon, and I'm like, hey, there's the sale, maybe I'll try it out.
Exactly.
And speaking of the not sponsored yet joke that's going around,
are you going to tell
one way to tell someone's British
the Yorkshire Gold?
Yeah, they will always mention Yorkshire Gold, and they're not sponsoring me, but if Yorkshire Gold would like to, or just send some tea my way.
Right?
Of again, just showing no, I just really like this product.
Right. And I think like just being upfront with somebody about like, I love this product. I worked hard to get the sponsorship. I just want you to know how much I love this product, but it's nice that they're also not giving me money or they're giving me something free.
Mhm.
Frankly, they did not have to, but don't tell them that, that's sort of like, I get it. I know what that's like where you're like, finally, the thing I love, now I'm getting like sponsorship from, the reason I got into selling adult items was I did not want to pay retail prices, y'all. So all those years ago, like 20 plus years ago, I got into selling it as an excuse to buy wholesale. And I told people that of like, look, I sell it. I haven't tried everything, but if you ask me, I'll let you know which things I have personally tested my own copy of. And I will let you know what I think of them. Not every rabbit was created equal. I'm just going to say that. So, of like, I love a thing. I will be happy to share that information with you, but you're under no obligation to buy through me because that's not what the whole point of it is about. Yes. Oh, Maggie, let me tell you about our dad. Our dad could burn water.
Several times.
So there was this one apartment we lived at when we lived in Oxford, Mississippi. And the apartment was like right in front of an incredibly deep ravine. When I say deep, we measured it and we only had a 40-foot long piece of rope. And the rope did not reach the bottom of the ravine from our backyard, which was not a yard. It was just like a little patio area. So anyway, every time Dad would go put the kettle on or put a saucepan on, and he'd go set it to boil because he wanted to make himself some tea or coffee. And then for some reason, the man would then go draw the bathtub. He always wanted to drink the hot things in the hot bathtub. Okay. But then drawing the hot tub, he would forget that he had left water boiling on the stove.
Oh no.
Be in the middle of the bath when he would smell something burning, realize he had forgotten to turn off the stove, let alone come back, have to immediately rush out of a wet tub, and there would be like a red hot pot or kettle. One time the kettle burned the bottom out. It was the bottom of the kettle, the whistling kettle was stuck to the burner.
Oh no.
And his solution to every time he had an incredibly hot pot was to throw it out the back door into the ravine. So glad it never set anything on fire. I'm just saying there was an entire woods back there, y'all. We lived in North Mississippi. It was a lot of woods, okay? So then, like once a month, we would attach our little sister to the 40-foot rope and lower her down carefully. Like we would have the other side of the rope tied to the house, to the door. And then Tom and I, or Mom and I, because this was Mom's original idea, was to tie her youngest to this rope and slowly lower her youngest and have her youngest collect the pots and keep climbing up and depositing the thrown pots and pans and then keep going down until she got the last pot. And this is what we would do every month or two when Mom was like, I have literally no pots and pans to cook with. Where are they? And I'd be like, they're down the ravine. I saw a couple of them. Because like when I say this ravine, it was literally at like a 45-degree incline or steeper. It was not something I could personally climb down without sliding all the way down. Or it was very dangerous. So yeah, I like whistling kettles. They're more helpful. And because of our family, I don't like the stovetop whistling kettles because they tend to have cheap aluminum bottoms.
Oh yeah.
That confuse the burner.
No, thank you.
I did not know that until that happened. And that is why I like microwavable whistling tea kettles. Because the microwave will stop eventually, y'all. Hope you enjoyed story time. That was our dad. The man could not cook. He burned water. Our mother burned every meal she ever made in her life. Literally. You're like, Lori, how is that possible? And I will be happy to one day go over in detail. But that is why I learned to scramble eggs at 7 years old. It was in self-defense. I was trying to survive this family. Yes, I learned to cook out of pure self-defense. It was like, I'm not going to make it in this family if I don't learn to cook. So, I'm just saying.
My adoptive parents know how to cook, actually quite well. I mean, Dad, he's not a chef, but
yeah, but he doesn't burn water, right?
Right, exactly. He doesn't burn the porridge. He doesn't burn water. It's fine. It's fine, and it's actually good. I mean, for my simplistic taste, it's good.
Yeah,
and then my adoptive mom, she could easily be a chef, like
That's
totally.
awesome.
She could totally be. And she doesn't. She says, "No, come on, don't say that. It's because I'm your mom." No, not really. She's best pesto you would ever have. It's by my mom's.
It became very clear to me as a child that there was a reason that both of our parents grew up with maids or housekeepers who cooked, like in the home. And it was because no one in like an extended line of our family, like family tree, no one could cook for literally 100, 200 years.
Now I feel kind of proud that I can do scrambled eggs. At least I can do that.
Right. I mean, our stepmother could cook, and our stepfather can cook to like at least varying degrees. Look, I'm just going to say they don't burn water, neither of them. And our stepmother, as y'all may remember, was completely blind since she was 3 days old. So, she had to learn various methods. She, again, never burned water. Never burned water. Which I was like, Dad, do you realize, like, she taught herself to cook and never learned how to burn water. And I suggested to her that if she ever wanted Dad to teach her, I'm sure he'd be happy to demonstrate. And she was like, no, that's okay. And then she one day called me up out of the blue and was like, Glory, I thought that those days were behind him. And I was like, oh, what he burned. She's like, he threw my best pot out the back door. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's his signature move. Yep. That is his move. So, on that, I figured maybe now's a great time to take a break. And when we come back, we will talk about solutions to marketing and promotional problems, including awkwardness. I feel like, I'm not going to say I'm an expert in awkwardness, but I'm definitely familiar with the conundrum. That's all I'm going to say. So, with that, how about we, maybe stretch legs, we get a snack, we do the things, or we write. Just remember, save your work. And we will see y'all back here in about 10 minutes. All right. Alrighty. Hold on.
One more day.
Okay. Ooh, somebody's playing a pan flute. Sounds like.
Oh, you can hear that? Hold on. Sorry. It's they're watching an anime. Hold on.
Oh, I was like, it sounds so sad. The beautiful kind of sadness, not like sad, but like sad.
I was
Sad with a view.
It sounds Irish sad.
I was watching a movie from the 80s called Vibes with Jeff Goldblum and Cyndi Lauper and Peter Falk.
Yeah.
And they go down to South America, and they have like the shiftiest pan flute player just sitting around
That
town,
is a phrase I never thought. The shiftiest pan flute player.
who's just sitting
Like,
against
just-
a wall off the street, just playing the pan flute,
Like
watching
you
shit
do.
happen.
So it's the beginning of an anime, The Adventures of something in Inish. It's an Irish anime.
Mhm.
So it's like the opening.
Oh, so you were
So
right.
it's a
Corey,
little-
about the
It's a little loud.
sounding
That's all.
Irish.
Huh. So how did everybody do?
Well, I made myself an enchilada pie,
Ooh, that looks yummy.
and it's very yummy. So, it unfortunately it was like cook for 5 minutes and then wait for 2 minutes, and by then it was like the start of this. So I will be eating and
I
talking.
think that's a wonderful, noble thing. During the break, I noticed that our Wi-Fi is going in and out. So there is a thunderstorm coming. So if anything happens, don't worry.
We'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be
You'll
back.
be back.
We'll at least, go on to the after party when we come back. I don't know what to say. Like, because I noticed like I was getting little notifications about the Wi-Fi. So I thought, you know what, I should tell everybody just in case. Don't worry. But that's why I was doing the last minute or so was I was checking the weather radar maps to look at it. And it's like scattered thunderstorms, so it's not like a big chunk. So it probably won't be bad. But I just thought maybe I should mention it again. We are in the middle of really weather season in Mississippi. Between the tornadoes, the hurricanes, the calamities, I don't know, So, as always, we'll meet you at the after party afterwards. Yes, Megan.
Yes, hold the fort. Definitely,
Hold the
right,
fort.
Megan?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Definitely.
almost had to do that this morning with Charlie because Charlie was having computer problems too.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, is it just going to be me for a while? Am I going to have to talk to people and stuff?
I don't know. The stream that you and I were on, Megan, on my channel, that is my most watched video.
Oh, yeah? That's
Like-
awesome.
It has hundreds upon hundreds of views.
wow.
But all my
Wow.
other videos on that channel don't. It's okay though. I'm not like mad about it. I'm just like
We're a
pointing it out.
good pair then.
Yes.
Yes, I would agree. Oh, and Nia joined us. And yes, Nia, hello. Nia came back from the vet. Yeah, there it is. And how did the puppy do? Was it the puppy's vet appointment? And Eva came back as well. Hello. Glad to have you back. She says dinner is nearly ready.
Nice.
She just exists at time. It's not a linear situation.
I put a towel over my window because I was getting more direct sunlight right there.
yeah, I was about to say, is it helping block some of the
Yes.
heat radiating? That's good.
Let's see where we at. See my beautiful green towel right here.
Yay! And Doll came back as well.
Yeah,
My
my
screen's still open.
Yay.
really unkind. It's been really unkind. It took me out during the break, and I was like, this has been more than 10 minutes. What the heck happened? Oh,
right?
no.
oh no.
Well, I was
Yeah.
just saying how we also during the break I was getting low Wi-Fi signal
Oof.
notices because we have a thunderstorm coming in.
Oof. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not just you. We're all definitely.
Gremlins are taking us all.
Yes, y'all save your work, just in case. Maybe give a tiny blood sacrifice. I'm just throwing that out there, y'all. I'm being silly. So
I already did that this morning.
when you're working on the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So yeah, and I also during the break went by and photobombed Tom's vid camera as well. In his room. So
Enjoy what I posted on Instagram. I posted a short little reel or story or something. I can't remember.
Okay.
Of what my computer was looking like earlier.
Oh.
When it crashed.
Can't wait to go look. Yeah, Eva says her web blipped as well, and we are all to blame.
Well, you guys have been like talking, but then you're all frozen and you kind of like go in and out. I'm like, but I'm streaming on a hotspot, so I figure it was just because of my hotspot. But maybe not.
Maybe it's us.
I don't know. You guys have been pretty clear for me, but then again, my internet is surprisingly good today.
It's
although that does remind me of so I thought we had some rules established for Riders of the Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen the news and we've got monkeypox going around now.
Oh God.
Michael Crichton already wrote this story. Leave it with Michael Crichton. No one needs to write that story again.
And there's someone in Wisconsin that has the plague. Like the plague.
There's someone in Colorado.
That's actually really common.
Yeah.
Especially in that part of the... We get it all in here in Arizona all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Colorado. I just read an article about a 10-year-old girl who was diagnosed with the plague.
Wow.
And it was like nobody's been diagnosed in like 3 or 4 years, but it's common in the summer from ticks and fleas or just fleas or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Down at least west. I don't know about Wisconsin, but I know like out west, yeah, the fleas have the plague, the bacterial plague.
Especially on our like rodents, like the prairie dogs.
Yeah,
they're very, very likely to have the bubonic plague and transmit it.
I'm just gonna say, y'all, don't play with prairie dogs. Just gonna say,
yeah, don't do that.
Also, they'll bite.
They're very cute, but appreciate them from a distance.
Yes, agreed.
Our local zoo has an exhibit with like some prairie dogs in it. They're cute and very loud.
Yeah. They do get loud when they're happy. We had our local zoo had a prairie dog exhibit for many years, and it was nice because they weren't really enclosed as much as they had just made a big concrete barrier so people couldn't get close to them. So they could just be themselves without like glass or plexiglass or anything. And oh my goodness, they are chatty little things and they have many opinions. They had to eventually they did have to put up like a bigger barrier because people would throw them roasted peanuts like in the shell.
Oh, man.
And the prairie dogs learned to throw them back at people they did not like. Because it turns out they don't like baseball hats. Or at least our local prairie dogs did not care for, especially men wearing baseball caps. I don't know. And so anytime they saw men wearing baseball caps, they would throw empty peanut shells at them.
That's hilarious.
Which, yeah, I loved. I used to stand behind the prairie dog exhibit because it was like a circular thing, and I would just stand there in the shade and just wait for men in baseball caps to walk by. Good times, y'all. Let me tell you, it was good. If you turned your cap the other way, though, they'd quit throwing them at you. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But I like when animals truly are their own creatures. You know, they have their own personalities. So, yeah, good times. They started aging and they got like little gray hairs in the face, you know, that milk face.
Aww.
Yeah, so I think they just sort of aged out the prairie dog exhibit, and then that was the end of the exhibit. It was like, they're like, we're not buying more. This is it. But anyway, so we've all survived the break, which kicked some of us off and played with our Wi-Fi. How is everybody doing? And did anybody have any questions, comments, or problems for the writers' table to put our heads together to try to find solutions for?
Not that I can think of.
Let everybody think about that. So one of the things that occurred to me, because I have heard it many, many times, various writers are like, I don't feel comfortable shooting my own horn all the time. And I get it.
Oh,
especially,
yes.
especially as women, we are trained by, other women and society in general that it is ugly or undesirable for women in particular, but really most people, to toot their own horn, to talk about the thing that they're proud of, and to talk about it because they're proud. Like, I'm so proud of this thing I wrote. Like, it's people don't like, people are not necessarily what I would say warm and welcoming about people bragging about something they've accomplished.
Yeah, you shouldn't be bragging or something. I have this problem. I have a problem, even though I thought it was imposter syndrome, for example, because that's another thing that's like running rampant in AuthorTube and like writer spaces in general. Imposter syndrome is like cool and okay, and I'm glad it's okay, but it's becoming like the norm. And and I was like, okay, I don't want to have imposter syndrome. Why do I have imposter syndrome? How can I fix it to a certain degree? So I started studying craft books and improving
Doll,
my
your internet
Oh,
writing
gremlins are back.
and
Doll.
writing better.
Nope.
No.
I'm so sorry, sweetie.
Best I can. I mean,
Doll, while we wait to see if your Wi-Fi gets better, if you can, you could post your question in chat or even in the private chat, and we'll then
my works saving.
Yeah, Doll, we lost you at starting to read craft books. That's when, like, we have not been able to understand you. We'll figure it out. So the question that I've heard a lot is about how do I promote myself when I feel so uncomfortable with it? And there's a couple suggestions I have.
Oh no.
Okay. Doll?
Doesn't want me. It doesn't.
Okay, I can hear you.
Oh.
Yay!
Okay, I will look at the camera. Hopefully, I just wanted to say that I was one of those with imposter syndrome and I wanted to fix it. And I didn't know how to fix it, so I started improving my writing because I realized that the cause of imposter syndrome was that I felt like I was not a good enough writer to be promoting my stuff. So I was working on that and I no longer have it. But I thought that was gonna fix the problem of tooting my horn or like promoting my books, like, hey, I wrote this. And nope, I still feel uncomfortable. I don't know why, but
Yes.
it's not. So it wasn't imposter syndrome. I'm glad that I got rid of it to a certain degree. I mean, I will always have it.
Yes.
Second language, and I'm blind. It's gonna be a problem, but I am the kind of person who improves her craft, and I study writing, and I want to make it better, and all that stuff. So I'm much better than I was last year. But then I need to talk about my own book or my short story Danger, for example. I need to post about it because, hey, You gotta post about your own thing. That's why you have a social platform. And no. And I just hate doing it. I hate it. And I don't know why. Why is this?
So, there's a lot there, and I'm trying to figure out where to start unpacking it. That's like literally. I'm like, okay. So, of course, I cannot speak for everybody because, I'm already neurodivergent, which means like I speak for one. But I can share my experiences with all of those because I do deal with imposter syndrome. I've dealt with imposter syndrome, yet I have worked in various industries and I have experienced it in every industry that I've ever been in. I also feel very uncomfortable about talking about the things I'm proud of, even though I'm proud of them. I love them. Y'all, if I have finished writing something like where I feel like, okay, she's pretty much done. Y'all, here you go. Then I'm very proud of it. I'm like, this little baby bird's ready to go fly on her own. Best of luck, kiddo. That's how I feel about everything I've ever written where it's like it's ready for publication. And yet, I still feel uncomfortable about telling other people about it, other than in like a friendly environment where people are like, so what have you been up to? And then I feel like it's okay for me to tell people what I've literally been up to, just as like an update sort of thing, but not as a more what feels to me like an advertising sort of thing. It makes me feel very cringy inside. What I try to do to deal with the cringy feeling inside is I try to think about, what if there is somebody who's really looking for something to read or to know or something, and they came across my post, my tweet, whatever? How would I tell them? I would want them to know. I would want, like, oh, here, I've written something and, maybe you'd like to read it. And it's not as a advertisement, but merely as an informative, hey, y'all, maybe you're looking for something to write. So I literally will use that kind of copy approach of, hi, are you looking for something to read? I have something for you. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe not. Instead of the more cringy, that sort of overconfident thing. Okay, we've got 2 dolls.
Oh no!
Should I take this one out? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just was like, hold up, they look the same.
Yeah, I know. If it continues being a crap, I will just join from the phone or I'll come back later. But this seems to be the
Okay, that's fine. So number one, there are people like, so when I was in sales, as I said, this is a common experience people have. And in sales, they talk. Doll, you there?
where
I think it's
every
Yep.
but
Doll, you're breaking up. Sorry.
everyone is on the
Doll, can you hear
internet.
us?
So
oh, Cheerio.
Uh-oh. So, what my approach is on not wanting to promote oneself is kind of twofold, actually. Number one, if you are just letting people know something is available, people don't hate that. They appreciate it. I know a lot of people who actually appreciate advertising that's relatively new to them because they feel it is informing them about a new product, a new story, or whatever that they wouldn't otherwise know. And so number one, just remember, people are not as upset about you letting people know what you have as maybe you might have been led to believe by, what is it? Eva had something in here about oh wait, there it is. If they aren't cheering you on while you boast, they aren't your circle. Give more weight to those you trust and respect. And I wholeheartedly agree. My other piece of like, based on my experiences, is sometimes it's helpful just to ask other people if they would help you promote. Like you both could promote each other in sort of a cross promotion thing. Or simply, you can honestly just start a conversation rolling with somebody of like, hey, could you help me figure out how to do a couple promotion messages? And they'll be like, oh, sure, I'd be happy to give you advice, because people love to give advice, y'all. They love it overall. And, you know, if they're giving you advice, often they're also happy to like help you by actually like sending out messages on your behalf on their platform. And then you can do the same for them. It's great practice. It's great practice to practice promoting other people's works to get more comfortable with promoting your own works. And remember, people want to know about the things you're doing, or why are they following you in the first place?
And you can get other people to promote your work for you that aren't necessarily like friends, or you can team up with like book bloggers, and they can help you promote your book. You know, you can do, what are they called, book tours,
Yes.
where you like one blogger writes a post, another one writes another one, and it makes kind of like a train of blog posts about this one book. And that's another great way to like promote yourself, is to team up with someone else and get the word out there in any way that you can.
I would agree. Doll's going to just join us in the comments. And she says, my solution to the uncomfortable feeling I get when I promote my stuff is to connect it with some music. So I post about a song that inspired my work and how the two are connected, and it kind of helps. That's great advice.
One thing that's helped me in particular, because I don't really feel that same reticence to sharing my work necessarily. I find to think of it like, how would I promote my best friend? Like, I would do whatever I could to make sure that her stuff got out there, and, you know, people, you know, in a way that wouldn't anger people, you know, stuff. So putting myself in like, how would I treat her, and just like, let me do that for myself now, because that is kind of like the minimum of what you should do, is what you would do for your best friend.
Yes, I agree. I think it, you know, sometimes, because again, like, since I'm neurodivergent, I find that I'm uncomfortable doing anything new. So even though like I want to promote all my friends' works, I still sometimes initially feel uncomfortable with, how am I going to word this where it's not so awkward people just move on. Like, and
Ooh, I have some great book recommendations for that, but I need to research real quick.
Yeah.
I will come back to you with that.
Absolutely. But yeah, of like, it can be helpful to like see how other people are doing it and to mimic them, which is not the same as like plagiarizing, but just like taking that vibe in their wording or their approach, and using your own words of promoting or letting people know about a work, even if it's someone else's, and in that manner. I would say on the imposter syndrome can come at you from a lot of different angles. I can only speak to my personal experiences, but for me, a lot of it has to do with my rather very highly judgmental mother. And I just never feel like I am qualified enough to be accepted as the people qualified in that industry. And for that, I can't fix my mother. I can't ever make her say nice things to me. Even when she was alive, I couldn't do it, and now I especially can't. So I just have to live with that feeling of there's no validation. There's no outside validation that's going to come in a timely manner for me. And I just need to deal with the uncomfortable feeling and to not take that as an accurate gauge of my qualifications. It was an absolute surprise to me that within 3 years of working in the library information technology industry, that other people considered me, and I don't mean patrons, I mean other librarians considered me a librarian, a full-fledged librarian, even though I did not have a master's degree in library science. That I had apparently proven my chops and paid my dues already, even though I did not think of it that way, since I thought you had to have a master's degree, period, no ifs, ands, or buts. And it turns out that the majority of librarians do not feel that way. They're not trying to gatekeep qualified librarians out of the industry. When I was teaching, I thought I'm just this nobody, this highly dyslexic ADHD teacher who, secretly autistic, because I knew better than never tell anybody that back then, because believe me, I would not have gotten hired anywhere. I just thought I'm just going to do my thing and I'm going to do my best for my kids and hopefully I'll be under the radar. And it turned out that everybody was talking about me behind my back about how, did you see the new template Glory put out for lesson plans? Oh, I've already used it. It's fantastic. Glory's so good. I had no idea people were saying nice things about me. It was literally a jaw dropper. Tom can back me up on that I was like, why are people saying nice things? Do you think they're about to fire me? That was literally my common approach. Anytime people say nice things to me is, am I about to get fired? Y'all, do you see where my mom shows up in this? So that is my just dealing with imposter syndrome of it's just this uncomfortableness I have to sit with for the rest of my life. She is what she is. And it is not an accurate indicator of my qualifications. I think it's helpful for me. I found that hanging out with other people who seem highly qualified to me was very helpful for me to feel more supported, though. Because highly qualified people like to be around other highly qualified people. But they're also happy to help people who maybe need a little support, whether it's just emotional support or professional support. They're very happy to share. That's just one of those kind of hallmarks of highly qualified people in any industry is that they're generous with their time and energy versus underqualified people tend to be kind of not that generous. It's a known thing in economics. So,
So I couldn't find the other book that I really like, which is a shame because it's a great book. But one of the books that I really enjoy for persuasive writing is The Art of Woo by G. Richard Schell.
What is it? The Art of what?
Woo, W-O-O.
Okay, Woo.
By G. Richard Schell.
Oh, there. Using strategic persuasion to sell your ideas? Is that the one?
Yes.
Got it.
It's a very good book. I came across it in college at the college library, and I was like, ooh, this book is fantastic. I wish I could, borrow it and read it all the time.
Nice. Very cool.
Probably gonna have to do a blog post on this or something because I have so many book recommendations.
I mean, I think it's good to have book recommendations because there's so many books I've read, I've spent time with that I do not recommend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to essentially find a curated list from someone else who's done the work rather than just, hey, this book looks good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nia says, it's happening to me now. I have not slept in 3 days and I keep procrastinating. More anxiety with the Bella. I mostly don't want to promote.
Oh no.
I want to put it out and hide. It worked before, ha ha ha, but my reach was limited. Good for zero promo, but limited. Understandable.
I feel like I go in waves. Like I'll go and like I get excited about sharing whatever is my latest thing on different places, and then I get burnt out on it, and then I just kind of fall off the whole promotion bandwagon altogether. And then when I want to promote again, I feel like I have to start over at the beginning because no one's heard from me in a while.
Mhm.
People think I abandoned you. So it's just, I feel like it's like a cycle, like, and it's tiresome. Not like I'm tired of doing it. It's just, it takes a lot of energy and brain power and time to figure out, like, if you're going to be sharing quotes from your book, or if you're going to be doing images, and what are you going to say, and what kind of short paragraph are you going to write to share. So it's just, it takes a lot of time.
I
just
think
feel
like as creatives though, like part of a lot of creative people, like, and I mean really writers in this regard, since the dawn of time, it's like we kind of disappear into a hermitage for a little bit while we're deep in our heads writing, crafting story. And then we come out, we're like, oh, the world is still spinning. Thank goodness I wrote a story. And then in order to go back into that kind of creative process, we do sort of disappear again. And I think that's just sort of normal for creative people, particularly writers in particular. I think that is just part of it. I remember reading it was something from an illustrated text, which, you know, is like from a monastery, you know, back during the Middle Ages, about this area of Germany's favorite bard, or one of the really popular bards. You know, they write songs, and that people at the time, literally a town, had a town meeting about this bard. We love his songs. However, he disappears for months at a time and doesn't perform. And is there anything that can be done? They had a town meeting about this poor man who was just trying to, like, he would disappear for weeks at a time to compose a new song with lyrics and everything. And they were upset that he would disappear. And, like, and I'm just like, it's literally been always this way, apparently. Okay. I felt better. My father had found this text and was like, here, you've got to read this. And like, and I was a teenager at the time. I mean, this was so long ago that I read this, but I just was like, oh, everybody does this. Okay, good. Like, like the town literally was like, what if we get you a housekeeper? Would that help? And he was like, I need time in the woods. The solution, literally, I feel like this was like the prototype to Gilmore Girls' Stars Hollow, like, you know, of like these kind of town meetings about, you know, people's personal lives. It was like, why would you have a meeting about that? That's odd. So there's the town. It took the town like a year to come up with a solution. Here's the solution, y'all, for reals. Just to give you closure on this story, the town's solution was, you have to train 2 other bards on how to do all your songs so they can perform when you are not available, so we can still enjoy your past works. But whenever you're available, they're not allowed to perform your works. Ooh. That was the town's solution to this problem. I love it. I feel like this is so Stars Hollow.
It does seem that way.
It does, right? So, but like, it's just part of normal, like, kind of the creative process, I think, for, you know, creative folks, where we kind of disappear into our hermitage a little bit for at least a little while till we have our new thing. And I don't know, maybe there are solutions like setting up weekly promotional,
or team up with another writer who's going through the similar promotion, you know, stages that you are, and kind of work together, you know, help each other with, you know, because it's easier to see. Oh, I've got this fly in the room. It's easy to.
You can do it.
It's easier to see, you know, the forest for the trees for someone else's project than for your own project. So having the 2 fresh set of eyes basically is a great way to, you know, get your stuff done. And then it kind of makes it easier because you're not doing all the heavy lifting for coming up with all this creative stuff.
Yes. I agree. Yeah, and Dahl points out about scheduling your
Mhm.
content if possible.
So I found a few different apps in the App Store. Obviously, that's where you get apps from. uh, about how to schedule content out. Like one was like Planoly, and I forget what the other one is. But the holdup, I'm using those to actually, so they do it for you automatically, as opposed to you going there and then you remember to go into the app and post it at that time. Is that a lot of them want you to have like a Facebook like business page account thing with it. And I did have an author page, but I had issues with my ex-husband founding on there. I had restraining order and all that, so I don't have that avenue to make it automatic. So what I've been doing is just like when I have pictures to take or pictures of my book or whatever, I'll take a bunch of them, and then I kind of just arrange it in there. But then I still have to remember to go in there and do it each day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out, like, is it better to do it earlier in the day, middle of the day, in the evening? I found that like on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's usually like in the evenings is when I get more views of my stories on Instagram and more shares of my things on Twitter. But as far as the rest of the week, it's who the heck knows. So just trial and error, I guess, at this point. See what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah,
that's mostly marketing right there. Is just testing and seeing what works, what sticks.
yeah. Like part of it helps if you're familiar with who are your followers, or whoever is interested in your content. When are they online?
Yeah.
It helps to understand that. Like probably you're not, you don't have a lot of people who live in Asia and Australia who are following you. So you don't have to worry about their time zone difference. Like it's some of that. So like if like the majority of people who follow you or subscribe or whatever are, in your continent, then you have a general idea of their daily schedule and when they have time. I know like it used to be, and I don't know how accurate this is right now, but pre-Panini, it used to be that it was like, what was it? Like it was Tuesday at 11 p.m. and I'm not 11 p.m., 11 a.m. And Fridays at 1 p.m. or something like that was like the most frequently when people were checking social media platforms and most open to reading any old piece of content. I found that out from my library stuff. Like one of the services we were subscribed to had paid for the Pew Research to do research on when are our library book readers on social media, like when should libraries post. And so that was what they were talking about. Hi, Jules. Back from first day, back to school. Yeah, lots of meetings for the orientation stuff. I get to see my classroom tomorrow. Woohoo! That's awesome.
Nice. Glad it went so well.
And Diana's here. Hello, darling.
Hello.
So that is like, that's how it used to be beginning. That was pre-Panini, and I don't know what the stats are now, but like sometimes I like to think that the answer is, excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze. The best time is when you actually have the time to do it. Because it's better to get it done at all than to get it done perfect. That is my personal theory. And also, like, for the most part, I find that people tend to attract like. Hi, Carrie. So, like, I would say a fair amount of the people who interact with me on social media tend to have a similar schedule to me, because when I'm on, that's when they're interacting with me, and they're also on. Like their schedule is similar. So to some degree, there's a certain geography to it, but it's not. It's more like their life schedule is similar to mine. So they're more likely to be people who tend to get on in the evenings, because if I'm going to get on, that's when I do it, or like late at night, like, early morning. In the middle of the night. Tom, you're muted, sweetie. You are muted.
Can't hear you, Tom.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want the secret of when his AuthorTube on Instagram and never doesn't want to admit it?
Tell me.
They're all looking at Instagram posts at 4 a.m. Eastern time.
Is that, and what is your research on it? How do you know?
Because I've been up at that time, and I have caught so many of them responding, liking, like, why is everyone up at 4 a.m. Eastern time?
Because that's when no
Like,
one
they
is
should be
bothering them.
asleep.
They don't have to do anything.
Right? Yes,
It's the
exactly.
only time they have to.
Yeah, no,
Which is
everyone.
why I do most of my writing at night or
Yeah.
really early in the morning when I should be sleeping because no one's bothering me and it's 25 degrees cooler in the house.
Yeah, understandable. And that's like my point of like when you're up, probably a bunch of other people are up. Like often when I put out like a tweet in the middle of the night because I'm up and something has occurred to me, that's probably when I get the best interaction with other people. Like people actually interact with my tweet because I figure they're up too for similar schedule. I don't know. I
What's
think
a
also,
schedule, really?
yeah, what is a schedule but a construct? It's So I'm just throwing it out there of like, just go with your own instead of worrying about like a definitive perfect thing. I mean, there are a few things where you can say definitively, oh, that's probably it. If you're trying to post to teachers, yeah, a school schedule probably would be best, But all that means is post it before the lunchtime when teachers usually have a little time to check their phone. And, post it after 4 p.m. local time because that's when they have time to check their phone again. Like it's that, but like if it's not, say, an industry where, they all have pretty much the same schedule, I think it's more like when you are available, post it. Just post it. Yeah. Done is better than perfect. I agree.
Yes. I have on my sticky notes on my on my desktop, and they say small victories and continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection.
Exactly.
Because I am very bad at forgetting those, and I try to go for the perfection, and then I'm like, no, go for the small wins because those add up over time.
Right. Perfection is a trap.
Mm-hmm.
It is a trap on how
A death trap.
How to be a failure in as little time as possible. That's what perfect is. I wish perfect were real. God knows I've lost a lot of time trying to, chase that dragon. But just get it out there. It's good, better, best. I'll go with the 4-H on this. Do what's good. If you can do a little more, then do what's better. And if you've got even more time, energy, resources, do what's best. But good is better than none. Good is good. I think also like just asking other people for help can be useful. Like literally putting out a message of, hey, I've written a book. It's about this. If you know anybody who might be interested, please share this with them. They don't have to, but they also don't have to ignore your message. I mean, people love to share stuff with people. Hey, did you know there's this book out? I love it. Okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the egotist in me, but I love sharing information about a new book to somebody who has not heard of it. So like I got to be the one with the scoop. I love it. I love being that know-it-all. That's how you know it's a librarian. Librarians love to be know-it-alls.
I enjoy telling people what books I read and stuff like that. But when it came to like talking about my very first book, I was frozen still. Like people are like, "Oh, I can't wait to read your book," because I was meeting up with some homeschool parents at a park play day, and they were like, "Oh, what have you been up to this summer?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to release a book." I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait to read it." I'm like, "Oh, that's right. People I might know in real life might actually read my book." So then I was like panicking about it for like a good 2 weeks, and then after that, I was like, "No, I'm going to talk about it to everybody, get it out of the way, get over my fear." But then I don't know. I should probably do that with other things I need to do that I'm scared to do. But
I know, like I just when in doubt, I think it is socially acceptable to go, I wrote a thing. Here it is. And just nobody has to click on it. It's okay. I mean, I'm going to tell you my personal opinion about how many posts is too many posts about something you've done in a day. I feel like the limit is 8. If you post 9, am I going to think bad of you? No. I'm just going to be like, okay, I'm just going to move a little fast because I've already seen this 8 times. I'm good.
Okay, so when you say 8, do you mean 8 times total, or 8 on a platform? There's
8
a difference.
8 on a platform a day.
Okay.
So each I feel and I mean, like, look, there is an author I am thinking about, and it is nobody here or in chat, I promise you. But for a while, they were posting 20 posts on the one book every day, and it had music. So if I had the sound turned on Instagram, it was like, every time. Oh, I hate it when they use like shocking sound, like strong, loud sounds, like, versus if it had been like a pan flute, I would have been okay. But it was like for a while, I was just like, let me just scroll faster. I wasn't mad at him or anything because I figured surely it's working. They're actually a best-selling author. It just was like, I've seen so many posts about this one book for like a month or 2 now. I'm good. But yeah, they were posting. I literally went to check their account because I'm like, how many am I? Am I being unreasonable? Is Instagram just recycling these posts, making me think it is? It was 20 a day for a month, y'all. For a month.
That's a lot of planning, though.
And half of their posts had music on them. Half of them didn't, and it was like almost every other. And for me, auditory, it was a little too much. Again, I'm not mad at them. They may one day actually show up on the show when I actually schedule with them. I would love to have them as a guest. But that is when I decided 8 is enough. 8 is enough per day. And I am not the most patient person. So I imagine most people are more understanding than me. Their limit would be higher. Obviously, this person, 20 is enough a day. That they feel like that's the appropriate limit. So I'm just saying, as long as you keep it under 8, nobody's irritated with you. It's fine. And I mean, most of the people I know probably wouldn't even do 8 a day. This is the only person I've ever seen have that many posts in a day.
Although the real professional social media people do actually recommend 6 times a day.
Well, it depends on the social media network, but yeah, about 6 for each one. Sounds about right.
Because you need to reach people. People usually only scroll approximately 2 hours of posts back, and that's why it's 6.
Okay.
So yeah, I think people are pretty fine with however many posts most writers would be comfortable with. And I've seen big best-selling authors talk about okay, the experts I actually paid real money to told me I need to post this many times, but y'all, I am not comfortable with it. So if you want more, you're going to have to literally tell me. Otherwise, you're only getting 4 posts about this per day. And people will respond oh, it's okay, or 4 is fine, or whatever. I've just seen. Sometimes I just get curious about what is the conversation. And it's I feel like what it is the kind of people that follow you as a creative person vibe similarly to you. So whatever you feel is a good number of posts, not where you're anxious about it, but how you would feel about someone else. How would you let me know how many posts you think would be appropriate for me to post about a story or a book every day on that platform? And you go, well, this is how many I'd be fine with Glory posting. And then you do that. And they're more than likely the people who follow you would probably vibe similarly and agree with you that that's an appropriate number per day.
See, I never really paid attention. I mean, I follow other people that release books, but never really paid attention to how many times a day they make posts. And even if they make more than 2 or 3 posts a day, it's usually, I don't really pay attention to it because generally they're different images or different words in the caption or whatever, so it's not exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
And I scroll social media throughout the day, like in the morning when I first wake up, or when I'm walking outside, or have a minute to myself, or driving down the street in the car. So it's not like I'm saying, wait 2 hours, I'm gonna make a post and stuff and see what people have. And I don't know, I just never really paid attention to how many times people post.
Also,
Unless I make a comment on it, and then they keep on replying, and I get a bunch of notifications. So that's the only time I notice.
I think also there's different kinds of promotional posts. So the ones I like personally are, I like it when an author makes, like, let's say this hypothetical author has a book out. It's a fiction, and maybe they've commissioned drawings of the characters, or they made them themselves, or I don't know. Let's just say they have images of the characters. I like ones that they'll show me the book cover, and it's a post maybe with a little descriptor of the book, like essentially a back copy. And maybe they tell you where you can get it, because I think that's actually important. Is if it's not available widely distributed, then you definitely need to tell me in every post. If you actually give me a hook that hooks me, I need to know. Don't make me hunt. If it's not available on Goodreads or Amazon or all the above, don't make me hunt. Just tell me where I can go, right? Or it's only available on my website, link in my profile. That's fine. Just tell me where I have to go in every post. So show me the book cover and give me a quick blurb. Okay, cool. Another post of, like, you can do individual posts about characters with the, like, sketch or something you have of the character, and then a little descriptor about the character, and maybe, like, what is it they call it? Like the cornerstone and the problem that they're trying to solve in their quest or whatever. And you can do it on various characters, even secondary characters. I need to know this, so I don't mind you doing it even multiple times in a day, like various characters, and even doing it more than one day of, like, all these characters. But I like to know about that. And even if you've done world building and you've got things that you think are cool or interesting about your world building, and you have sketches or something visual, or even just like little descriptive text about the world building, definitely do a post about that. I love those kind of content. Again, this is just me, so I can't speak for everybody about it. But I find that is not advertising or cringy. That is informative, and I need to know, because what if something in your story is actually something I want to read? So please pitch it to me. Pitch the world. Pitch the book. Pitch the good characters. Pitch the bad characters. Oh, I love a good villain, y'all. Oh, I love a good villain. Even when I'm going to hate, I love it. Pitch it. That to me is not advertising at all. And I want you to, as a writer, to make those posts. And frankly, I wish you'd make them at least once a week, at least for like 6 months. Please post about it. And again, in every post, tell me where I can buy it, in case this is the post that, actually finally hooks me, or I have the money. Let me know. That's the kind of stuff I like. For content in general. The other kind of content I like personally, just because I'm a writer, is show me your writing world. Show me, how you like your bullet journal. Show me how you like to organize your notebooks, or just maybe I have a notebook problem. It's just piles of notebooks. Yes, I want to see that, and I want to feel better about myself. That I'm not the only one who may or may not have a notebook problem. Show me your sack of pens. Makes me feel good that I'm not the only one with a sack of pens. Or maybe you're like, this is literally the only pen I own. Like, fascinating choice you've made. But that's because, like, I'm a writer and I like that. I feel good right now. Thank you.
That is filled with pens and Post-it notes.
I love it.
And I counted, and I have
pretty
blank journals.
I love it.
My latest one.
Yes. Show me your sacks. Show me your sacks. I love it. Oh, it's so pretty.
Ooh.
That's lovely. Oh, that looks gorgeous. I love it. But yeah, like that kind of content of, like, here is me making this stuff, and here is me with my accoutrements. But turns out I'm not the only one who likes it, because I used to think only writers are interested in that stuff. But, hey, it turns out a lot of readers like that too, because people just like notebooks and stationery, y'all. It's wonderful.
I got this at Barnes & Noble, if anybody is curious.
Very nice.
Ooh.
It is not sponsored. I just like it.
Here is one of my many sacks of pens.
Nice.
Because I Frankenstein my pens, so I have to have the innards and the outers separately, and then I make them myself. Because I've done a lot of research to find the right writing pens for me.
See this? This is all of my writing related stickers to go into my.
Wow.
Oh.
I was a PR rep for a team for an Etsy shop, so I went overboard because I got a 40% discount.
I mean, but yeah.
Oh, nice.
So word track stickers.
Nice.
Nice.
Cool.
I never knew what to do with stickers because I'm always hesitant to stick them on things. Because I'm like, what if I stick it in the wrong spot and I want to move it later?
Yes. So all of her stickers
Right,
I got from Midlife Designs.
Just buy extra.
All of her stickers are removable. So yeah, so
that
would
would
really
be
cool.
perfect for me.
So I found out that you can make scratch and sniff stickers.
what?
I was okay. So last night, Tom and I were watching Legally Blonde, and there's a scene where this professor asks Elle if she has a resume, and she's like, "Yes, here it is. It's scented, and it's pink." And he's like, "It's scented." He's talking to his PA or his teaching assistant, his TA, about it. And he's like, "Oh, it smells good." And I'm like, "Do you?" And I literally paused the movie and was like, "Tom, do you know how old I am?" He's like, "How old are you?" I was like, "I'm old enough to remember when you could buy scented typewriter and printer paper. That is how old I am. I am so old."
Oh,
When
wow.
I used to write letters all the time to people, I would get scented
Yes.
paper and scented pens, and
Scented
then I would
ink, yes.
have each pen was with a different color. It was
Yes. Loved it. And Tom was like, "Can you even buy that anymore?" And I was like, "I don't know." So I was literally Googling scented paper. Could I buy it? And I did not find any distributors of scented printer paper. But I did find services that will do rubbing. They rub scent onto your stuff and it's intended to make scratch and sniff stickers.
Oh.
And there's apparently a lot of layers to this, but some saying they do such quality that it lasts for years because they don't do gelatin encapsulation. They do something else. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's actually kind of mildly interesting, but I'm like, how cool would that be, y'all? To get your book and there's a scented sticker associated with the book you ordered. I think that would be so cool.
That
But
would be cool.
I'm old enough to love scented scratch and sniff stickers. So it's all good to me. Let's see. There's stuff going on in the chat. So much stuff. Eva's like, "I love seeing how people enjoy their writing time, their writing space, their writing plan." Yeah. I'm not always looking for how. Sometimes I'm looking for like-minded or motivational. Exactly. Me too. So Adele's like, "I don't do physical writer stuff. I do it all digitally." I have seen people post like screenshots of their screen or their laptop and be like, "Here we are," or "Here's my word count for today." And you know what? I'm still interested in all of that. So I'm interested in the digital side too. I don't know. I love templates.
Or there are ones, others who are like Doll, where they're doing it all on their phone or their tablet. And what they'll do is they'll take a screenshot of which apps will I be using today,
right?
For whatever is their set that you do for their thing. Whether it's all the stuff they use for writing or making videos or what, and they're like, "Look what tab I've got opened."
Right. And I'm here for all that kind of content because I love I know they say, no, you shouldn't go see how the sausage is made. I like to watch the sausage get made. I know they say you should add, you know what? Obviously I'm going against the grain because I want to see how is the book made? How is the crochet hooked? I want to see it all. I like behind the scenes. I always watch those behind the scenes special features on DVDs and Blu-rays. If I liked the movie, then I definitely like the behind the scenes, and then I'll even go so far as the commentaries because I like to know how things are made. Digital planning is another niche. Sure, share how you do it. Folks are always unsure where to start. Seeing how others lay out their lives oftentimes gives a starting point without even trying.
It's true. When I was doing live streams on Instagram with doing like a planning hour, I got like a lot more interaction on those than I did on my other lives that I wasn't talking about that. Because the planning community is ridiculously huge, which is fine because we like stationery. It's fine.
Yeah, we do love stationery. Knowing that friends and family who haven't read your books will see them is nerve-wracking. I agree. I had a crisis once when I was like, Tom, what if our stepfather reads something I've written and he's ashamed? And he's like, number one, he ain't going to read any of it. Number two, that's not what's going to make... That is not a trigger for our stepfather. And I'm like, are you sure? I was like, I literally hadn't written for a week because I was like suddenly struck by this thought. This was a couple years ago. He was like, yeah.
I may have said something along the lines of, yes, he's told me about his family back home. They are more entertaining than most of your writing. Like really, they should have their own weekly feature.
They should have their own soap opera, y'all. Holy cow.
All right, guys, so I need to hop off and feed my monsters, minions, children.
Or starving.
But it's so hot here, and I told the kids, I'm like, I'm making sandwiches all week. That's what you're having for dinner. Whatever type of sandwich you want, I don't really care. I'm not cooking anything. No heat at all.
If you want it grilled, put it on the roof.
Yes.
Yep. Oh my gosh. So the other, like last week or the week before, it was almost 90 degrees. And my daughter is like, my middle daughter, she was like, can you make grilled cheese sandwiches? I'm like, no. Why? Because I really want a grilled cheese sandwich. They're really good. Yes, they're really good. But I'm not standing over the griddle to make 2 or 3 grilled cheese sandwiches because you guys will eat 2 or 3 grilled cheese sandwiches a piece to fill up for dinner. Because you guys refuse to have tomato soup with your grilled cheese sandwich. So,
I mean, what are you going to do? They have not been trained right.
No.
I mean, you need to start practicing the parenting that we were all raised on, which is when they ask for grilled cheese, and say, here's a stick of butter, here's your bread and cheese, go up on the roof. It's too hot. Do you not understand? It is too hot.
It's too hot.
So and I've been having just sandwiches and chips with dinner. That's it. Illy, my daughter, who doesn't like any type of new food or vegetables, she's like, "Is there going to be vegetables?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Okay, I'll eat whatever kind of sandwich you want, Mom." So tonight is tuna fish sandwiches with barbecue chips. That's what I'm making.
That sounds so good.
Yes, I don't really care. I don't have to cook, and there's less dishes to clean too.
That's awesome.
Yes. All right. But I will still have you on, and I'll be listening to you guys, so I'll be in the comments.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
And I sent Carrie there. I was like, I sent it to you, Carrie.
Carrie.
Hi. We're all taking turns. That's what it is.
But you notice, besides Doll, who says she has sleep problems, but somehow is asleep at 4 a.m. Pacific Eastern time, everyone else is like, yeah, why is everyone else awake? I know why I'm awake. Why is it everyone
Carrie knows why
else
she's awake.
I'm like, see?
The only way, stay up late, get up early. Only way you can get stuff done with a kid.
Look, I have gotten. I'm not joking. I've gotten responses from at least 8 of the people here on AuthorTube at 4 a.m. or caught them reacting to posts I made on an Instagram group.
Right?
It's just like, what are you doing awake?
I know you're awake and alive. Yeah, I think I'm like the only one who's like, it's the middle of the night. I'm not touching social media. I'm just going to watch movies and write.
No, me too. I sleep through it all.
Like, I may be up at 4 a.m., which I'm often up. But, like, I am not, like, on social media in the middle of the night most of the time. I say that. Like, every once in a while, I will be up there. But, like, most of the time, that's me time. I get to watch whatever I want. I could, like, write. I could just literally stare at the ceiling and listen to music. I might listen to Hoser for an hour on repeat. All right, 11 hours. Anyway, it's great. Okay. There is
All right. So fair warning, if you ever see Glory streaming on Twitch at 3 a.m, that will probably be me playing a game. Yeah. I just don't like admitting I'm awake at 3 a.m.
Yes. Oh, Eva wants me to like be doing my weird stuff on Twitch at 3 a.m. Like I'm just not going to interact with the screen. I'm like, y'all can just be here to observe me. Cause like, yeah, I look. So there was this time period for like a month. This was pre-Panini, I think. No, it might have been right at the start of the lockdown. I got this really dark idea from this Hoser song, the Take Me to Church one. About like old human sacrifice rituals. And I found out that somebody had made an 11-hour video of that song on a loop.
Oh, wow.
11 hours long of the one song. Let me tell you, I waited till Tom went to sleep at 1 a.m. and just played it all night while I was just scribbling all sorts of things. I mean, it was some dark stuff, but I was like, what an interesting idea for a story. And Tom's like, I had a dream that I was in a Hoser song. And I'm like, oh, that's my fault. Sorry. Yeah, because I had stopped it before he woke up. Because this was back when he was working at the clinic. I knew what time he needed to be up. So I was sure to like stop playing it before his alarm. So secret. So sotto voce. So, yeah. Let me know if you need the link. Yeah, I was like, ooh, 11 hours. Because I was looking for a 1-hour loop of it, honestly. Yes. It was some dark stuff. Like, because, like, there's some dark areas of the human mind. And I had been watching a whole bunch of documentaries about Neolithic humans all over the world. And there's a plenty of human sacrifice in these kind of documentaries based on archaeological findings. So I was like, when you really believe that you're going to have to sacrifice somebody or a baby to get the crops to grow so that everyone else will survive, it is a very difficult dilemma. And there's like 1 or 2 lines in that song that I was like, oh yeah, that hits on that. For me anyway. So I went to a very dark place to write out that scene from the perspective of the mother. So yes, the winner is Hoser. Yeah, there's several Hoser songs on my emotional playlist when I'm like, I'm here to write a song.
Although, really, you should see the videos of Hoser with his mom.
Yes, they're so cute. They're so Irish. So Irish, y'all. They're adorable. Yep. Oh yeah, you got all. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like it was a really kind of. I find music to be very inspirational sometimes for my writing process, and thankfully, other people, with the internet being available, people are able to share their unusual perspectives or processes or interests with each other, like an 11-hour loop of one song.
I can't listen to anything with lyrics when I'm writing. I gotta have instrumental music.
They got instrumental versions of it with the karaoke. And I did that as well. And there's like 1-hour instrumentals of this song. Like, yeah, honey. But then there's a lot of songs like that where people have done these, which I'm like, oh, thank goodness for the internet. So we can all share this and I don't have to do it myself.
I unfortunately once tried to sleep in when I was in the Philippines. at with a group of youth, and apparently, since I'm in the Philippines, the youth were working on a dance choreography to a song that morning, and so they just kept playing the same song, and it was Casey and JoJo singing "All My Life" for 8 hours. I
Oh
kept
my
thinking, if I just keep trying to stay asleep, eventually they'll stop, and I can at least get another hour or two. No.
No.
I have very mixed feelings about that song now.
Yeah. So, Carrie, did you have any hot takes you wanted to share, or are you just here to have a good time? Like, either is fine.
Just here, I'm still learning the whole promoting and getting over my nerves of, oh my god, other people are going to read this.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that actually
when I was sending out those links to my Google Doc for some people to read, and I'm like, I know these people, like they're my friends, but they're going to read it.
I understand. I was gonna share the brownie onion story with Megan months ago, and I suddenly
And you still have it? What? I haven't been able to read this? I'm so upset.
I was suddenly seized with what if it's worse than I think it is? And she's like, I just can't really hang out with Gloria if she's written this crap. Y'all, Megan is not like that kind of person. And part of me knows that. But there was a louder part that was like, is it worth the risk? And I'm like, no, it's not. No. So it's like, I can really relate to that.
For shame.
Where did we do since, Megan?
So, yeah. But I did want to get back to something talking about the multiple posts a day.
Yes. Okay.
But also like Maggie was bringing up about multiple posts and people start to ignore it. Well, the reality is for stuff that is I don't know what you call it, because it's not just physical objects, but essentially anything you would advertise. We talked about this before in one of the previous ones. It does actually take a lot of impressions. It starts at 21, but it really goes to about 30 or 35 for a lot of things before people consciously really take note and think about it.
That's why word of mouth is actually so useful from a grassroots perspective. Because you're just trying to log impressions. So
when you talk about that book, it's, until you've made at least 60 posts about that book with, similar enough artwork, like it's all the posts have the same aesthetic that people recognize it, their brain is not going to really acknowledge that you're posting about the same subject all the time. Unless they're like your close friends and they know this project you've already been working on. But yeah, people are weird. The brain just doesn't.
I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry like, oh, I'm spamming them. Like, as I said, 8 is enough per day. 8 is not enough per week.
Like, it'll take at 8 a day. It'll still take them between 4 days and a week to realize you've been posting constantly about the same subject. I'm not even kidding. That first day, they won't even realize that was all about the same thing.
You'd be surprised how many times you've seen an ad before you're irritated with the ad. Like, people think, oh, I saw this ad 3 times and I'm sick of it. And it's like, no, you've probably seen that ad 300 times and you're now sick of it, but you just noticed it. Like, yeah, you have no idea. People just do not register, because people are busy. They're exhausted. They're anxious. They're distracted. It's just normal. It's normal, particularly if you are, like, if you're the people reading your posts are primarily women, oh yeah, they have not noticed. They are so they've underslept, they are overworked, they are exhausted, they are distracted, they are underfed nutritionally, I'm just saying. And they are definitely underappreciated, so they're always kind of thinking like, how can I do better at work where I finally can like be appreciated and maybe get the promotion I deserve? They are thinking about a million other thoughts, including when is the last time I took a shower? And they are not noticing that this is the 7th time you've sent out this content this week. They have not noticed. They maybe have noticed one out of the 7.
Although, and if you want proof of what we're saying, that it's not just us pulling stuff randomly out our butt.
It's a very
almost everyone here has YouTube channels. Who's in these chat and on this thing right now?
Mm-hmm.
If you go look on your channel and you go click on impressions and click through, and you actually go through YouTube's little guide and everything, they will tell you if you hit at least 5% or higher click through, you are an exceptional channel and you've really got your audience's attention. And if you do the numbers, that means it took 20 impressions for that one click through.
And that's exceptionally high.
Yeah.
1 to 2% is the norm.
Yeah.
For impression click-through rate. So just keep that in mind of like, it really is, you're working that hard for people's attention. It is so unlikely that you're going to over promote or over market your works. That, like, I feel like just saying, of all the things in the world to worry about right now, over promoting is like, this should be somewhere near the last on your list.
Yeah, you're not really big enough to over promote. Like you've got to have a serious amount of cash to over promote.
And it takes just so much effort.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to know, I'm obviously a very big hypocrite on this because I can't tell you the last month that I even put a link on my Twitter about the Mabel story. It's not even a year old. I haven't promoted, I like barely promoted it when I had it, when it was new. I have not promoted it the last several months. So look, just know I'm a hypocrite. I know it. I feel guilt about it. Sometimes I think about, maybe I should share Mabel's story. And then I'm like,
That poor forgotten child.
Poor Mabel. Look, all that her niece wanted to do was give her a barrel and have her stay dead. And it's just, it's an effort, okay? And yet here I am not giving Mabel the due that she obviously so rightly believes she deserves. If only we could figure out what happened with all those spontaneous fires. So, but like, I say this is what we should do. Am I necessarily doing it? No, because we're all a work in progress. So remember, there's no, like, yeah, we all deserve badges, but we're not getting the achievement badges, okay? And it's totally fine. So what if you don't do great at promoting 1 month or 6 months? Don't worry. Don't sweat it. Just, get back on that wagon and try again. And, ask for help if you need it. Everybody wants to be helpful. Particularly in our little corner of AuthorTube, everybody here is so kind, so sweet, so generous. I feel so spoiled here. You have no idea the bees that exist in library land in comparison. And there's even more bees in teacher land. Here, everybody's really lovely. Not that people were terrible in those other industries, but, I mean, the only place that had as many sweethearts as here was the adult industry when I worked there. They're all really nice people, too. As I told Tom, years ago, I was like, I miss working in the adult industry. Everybody was really nice there, and they were helpful and generous. And I was like, I just wish there was another industry like that. And here I have accidentally stumbled on. Hi. So, I know it's hard to ask for help. I know none of us are necessarily really good at it, but I just want to point out again, people here are really sweet and kind and want to be helpful, which is a great sign. So, feel free.
Practice makes it easier over time. You gotta, exercise those sharing muscles.
Oh gosh, yes, mine are weak. But yeah, like just reach out, or come to our after party. Let me know if you need the link. I think we're probably about wrapping up. Did anybody have any final takes they wanted to say?
I do have, if anyone is really interested in marketing and wants to like get into case studies and stuff like that, I really like marketingsherpa.com. That's marketing, and then Sherpa is SHERPA dot. Is it .com? Let me double check real quick. Yeah, it is .com. And if you go to their article section, they have a ton of articles, and I recommend for authors checking out the B2C, which is business to customer, because that'll be more similar to what authors need than like business to business marketing case studies.
Is that the blog? The articles are in the blog? Or?
No, it's under, if you look at the, on the top, it says articles. It's the first one.
Oh, there. Glory. Okay.
This is one of the websites they shared with us when I was in college and learning marketing, to kind of, give you an idea of what other people are doing, and maybe it'll give you some ideas for what you can do for campaigns for your own marketing. And then, of course, the Pew Research Center is always great.
Yes. We love our Pew Research Center.
Yeah, any sort of research you can do is always useful. Other than that, I can't think of anything else.
Carrie, you got any final words? It's okay if you don't.
No.
Okay, just checking. Tom, how about you?
I probably should, but
I
I'm
know
tired.
you're really tired. Okay. Okay. Let me think. Oh, next week is August, and we are going to start back with the Awkward Sibling Hour. And what will be next week's episode? I have no idea, because we have not finalized the schedule. We will probably do it in the after party. But it's going to be lovely no matter what. And it will also, August is our 1 year anniversary of live streaming podcasts.
Yay!
Hopefully the second or the third season of Awkward Sibling Hour will go better than the first episode of Awkward Sibling Hour.
I'm sure it will.
For hours. I think that maybe everything. I hope that everybody has had a good time with the Writer Roundtable. Gosh knows I have. But as always, we are happy to receive feedback. Feedback is our friend. Please feel free anytime to tell me privately or publicly what you think of us. We want to know. And know that anytime I drop the ball, it's my fault. It's just me not having a great day, week, month, year. And it has nothing to do with anyone else. You all are lovely and wonderful. And again, you are the answer to a very wistful wish I made many years ago, to find a group of people as lovely to hang out with and work with as when I worked in the adult industry. So thank you again so much. I had no idea that this was what life had to do to me to get me to y'all. But I'm happy I'm here now. So thank you so much. And hopefully we will see you next Monday. And it will be awesome. Yes. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye.